Friday afternoon to you on this December 27th, 2019. Not much of 2019 left, is it? As we roll through the end of the year, this is the last Friday of the year. 52 of them in the books.
Went by so fast.
It did go by fast. Carl Morris with me again today. Glad to have you in. Drew is in Dallas with the Tigers, and Dave also in Dallas with the Tigers. We will check in with Dave at some point before this Friday afternoon ends. I know he's going to be with us for the Friday football forecast brought to you by First National Bank and Trust. We will do our picks at 5:30, and Dave will join us at that time. Gabe Coon's in Dallas as well. He will join us about 4:30. So we will have a lot on the Cotton Bowl in Dallas with the Tigers preparing to play Penn State tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. What a day of college football tomorrow. It has not been a great day of college football this afternoon. If you watched all of the North Carolina Temple game, you deserve some type of commendation.
They've actually scored the most points this bowl season.
55-13, North Carolina rolls over Temple. Not a great look for the American Athletic Conference with that one. And North Carolina ends the year 7-6. Mac Brown ends his first year back at Chapel Hill with a winning record and winning a bowl game. Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium being played right now. Minute and a half left in the first quarter, with Michigan State leading Wake Forest at the home of the New York Yankees at the Pinstripe Bowl. Next year, there will be the Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston. Bet it'll be cold at that one. Other games today at 5:45. Texas A&M against Oklahoma State in the Houston Bowl, and then USC against Iowa in San Diego tonight. In the last game of the day, Air Force against Washington State. Last night, pretty good bowl game in Detroit, and I heard you guys talking about it, Carl, with the player for Eastern Michigan and what he pulled. And you've seen his tweets. You've seen his apologies. Look, he was punished. He was punished last night with being kicked out of the game. He was punished with being embarrassed, as I'm sure he is. And at the end of that, after he offers apologies, that should be the end of it, I think.
I think it should also be the end of it as well.
I mean, young guy lost his head, made a horrible mistake.
Because honestly, it could have escalated to more than what it actually was.
It could have, and I think we need to do this with whether it's especially if it's targeting in college football when you're ejected from the game, dismissed from the game. Why do they have to do the perp walk?
I honestly don't know.
What purpose does that really serve? Now, if you're kicked out for fighting, maybe like the youngster last night for Eastern Michigan. You maybe need to leave the play.
It's only right.
But on targeting, you're removed from the game. You're kicked out of the game. Whether you like the rule or not, that's where we're going now with safety.
And with targeting, you're also eliminated from half the next game as well, right?
That's right. But so why the walk of shame? What does that really prove?
Nothing, honestly.
I don't get that. And you've already hurt your team. Now, if your coach deems you to be a negative factor in the bench area, maybe have them walk a player out. But I don't know really why we have to do that. But we do. And the player last night for Eastern Michigan, I in reading his tweets, and I know the easiest thing on earth is to say I'm sorry.
It's easy, but a lot of people's pride won't let them allow them to say, I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
I'd much rather somebody show me than tell me, but starting with the confessional, starting with I made a mistake.
And seeing that you actually mean that you're sorry.
Yeah, and I think he is, and look, he was punished, and I don't know if him staying in the game would have led to Eastern Michigan winning. They gave the game away. I thought they really had outplayed Pitt most of the night, but they didn't get the win. But we'll talk a lot about the bowls today. I want to hear from people. Most everybody's already left on their way to Big D, deep in the heart of Texas. Tigers fans are arriving. It's fun to see all the all the euphoria around the game and around the season for Tigers fans to finally be in one of the gold-plated bowls, one of the very best ones, the Cotton Bowl tomorrow morning, to start that great day of football tomorrow that will lead into the national semifinals, the Peach Bowl down in Atlanta, and then the Fiesta Bowl, the real marquee game of the day with the national implications tomorrow of Ohio State facing Clemson. Both of those teams undefeated. Only one of them can stay undefeated all the way out there, and it'll be a tough luck loss for somebody, or for anybody tomorrow in the semis, and even for somebody in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas. At 3:30, we'll visit with Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. He'll have the Vegas angle on all these games. We'll try to get some NFL conversation in with him as well. At 4 o'clock, we will go to Atlanta and visit with Jimmy Ott from the ESPN affiliate in Baton Rouge. Jimmy is with the ESPN station in Baton Rouge, and we'll talk LSU with him. And I will start with asking him this. To pick out a national, your favorite national championship team, I'm sure for those fans that have had multiple, it's hard to. It'd be like picking out favorite children. But don't you think with this one, with LSU, if they win it all, they will be 15-0. They will have the Heisman Trophy winner. They will have a guy as the head coach that looks like them and talks like them. That was his biggest selling point to get that job. This would have to be the one that stands out for LSU partisans. I think it would be the only time they've ever gone undefeated in a season, and to have all the glory that comes with it with the Heisman Trophy winner and being undefeated coming out of the SEC West. I said after Auburn won it all in 2010, and they went undefeated that year, but then we went into the playoffs, that nobody from the SEC would ever go undefeated again. Nobody has. Only LSU can. And they've got to go through Boomer Sooner tomorrow, and then the winner of Ohio State and Clemson. That's not easy for LSU. It hasn't been easy all year for LSU, but it really gets tough when you start having to play Clemson, the winner of Clemson and Ohio State. That's what they'll do. We'll visit with Jimmy Ott at 4 o'clock. Gabe will be with us at 4:30 from Dallas. Some basketball conversation. At 5 o'clock, we'll visit with Andy Schiffman and talk NBA with him. And at 5:30, I mentioned our Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust. We'll wrap it up with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're in our Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. The after Christmas sale going on right now. We're after Christmas, and the sale is happening. Up to half off display models. Close out even new items. All 2019 spas must go to make room for incoming inventory. Thousands off all in-stock spas. Theater seating and massage chairs priced to move. Game table starting at $99. Summer will be here before you know it. By now, and get first in line for installation. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. The 2 AutoZone Liberty Bowl participants safely ensconced in Memphis and being treated to the great Memphis and Southern hospitality. Kansas State practicing this afternoon at MUS, with Navy practicing at Christian Brothers. A lot of festivities for them tonight and into the weekend, and building into the game on Tuesday, with kickoff being about 2:45 on Tuesday afternoon for the 61st AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Looking forward to being there on Tuesday for that. I've seen Navy many times, but never in an AutoZone Liberty Bowl game. It'll be the second time for me to see Kansas State in that game. 61st AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and that's the exact number of different teams that have participated in an AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 61 through the years. We hadn't added a new team. We added a new team last year with Oklahoma State, and if you ever go by, I would invite people to do so. Maybe sometime in the summertime, stop by the AutoZone Liberty Bowl offices. Just stick your head in and tell them you want to see the helmet collection they have in the office of all the different participating teams through the years. And it's the name brands. It's all the teams. 2 years ago, the Tigers ran it. They had to add to that, and Iowa State several years ago, and they've been back since then. But they were here in the 70s too. I think of all the different helmets, my favorite, and people may not even now associate this team. Well, they wouldn't with FBS football, with air quotes here, big-time college football, because they play FCS. Now, they're very big-time at the FCS level, But I think my favorite helmet, because it is so different of all the different menagerie of helmets in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl offices, it's got to be the helmet of Villanova. Now, they didn't play here. They played in the Philadelphia game. And Villanova's never coming back to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Although there's been many times in conference realignment that Villanova's had the opportunity. I think they probably had the opportunity to go in a newfangled version of the American, and they choose not to for financial and budget and just priority reasons at that university, and they continue obviously to play at a big-time level in college basketball, winning 2 national championships of late under Jay Wright and the one back in the 80s under Raleigh. But they didn't take the bait to go to the FBS level of college football, like so many others that played great at the FCS level, like Georgia Southern. They made, like Appalachian State, they made the move, but they didn't. But if you ever get an opportunity to go by there and see those helmets, I think you would enjoy those. Grizzlies with a good win last night, maybe the win of the year for the Grizzlies. I would love people's thoughts on that. 67129 at the First Bank text line, or 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. Where are you with this 2019, soon to be the 2020 first half part of 2020 version of the Grizzlies? It's a fun team to watch. The Grizzlies have hope, that's for sure. But it's not anywhere resembling a go-for-it year, is it? Now, as I closed yesterday, if they did win yesterday and Portland lost, those things happen. The Grizzlies just 2 out of the 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. And now the schedule, while difficult over the next few games, remaining on the road in Denver, that's tough. And then home Sunday night against Charlotte, and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl teams will be there, and the coaches will be honored with Grizzlies jerseys at halftime of that game. Then a tough road trip, but then most of January at home at FedEx Forum for the Grizzlies to make some noise and maybe get into playoff contention. There will be 8 teams out of the West in the playoffs. Somebody's got to be the 8th seed. How many wins will it take to be that 8th seed? Usually it takes around 42, 43, some years up to 44. But this might be one of those years where it only takes 35 or 36, 37 or 38. Could the Grizzlies get there with a decent end to this calendar year and a hot start to the new year with a lot of games packed in at FedEx Forum? You go over the home games in January at FedEx Forum. I will for you. Minnesota, winnable. San Antonio, winnable. Golden State, winnable. Houston, probably not. Cleveland, yes. New Orleans, yes. That's just at home. Road trip to Boston and Detroit. Count both of those as losses. Then more home games with Phoenix and Denver. Not going to win all those. You might even beat Houston and lose to.
I was just about to say they can beat Houston if Golden State just beat Houston.
Might win that one and lose to one or two you're not expecting. That's why it's impossible to kind of do the W's and L's for the NBA, but conducive for the Grizzlies to get something going in January, and then who knows, in February it might be time to make a run. I don't think when I say make a run, you make a run with whatever you have. I don't think you trade for anything. I don't think you destroy the plan, and I think they have a good plan, and so far mostly being executed by the Grizzlies. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Great offers on all new 2019 models, the remaining 2019 models, and the 2020s that are rolling in by the day. If you've ever thought I look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus as well. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that new Lexus, all the new Lexus cars comes with the complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2019 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the high standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis. Let's get our top story. Top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Tomorrow, an historic day for college football. 2 national semifinal games and the Fiesta Bowl with Ohio State and Clemson in the nightcap, and the opening act, the Peach Bowl with Oklahoma and LSU. 7th time Heisman 1 and 2 have played in a bowl. Ed Orgeron versus Lincoln Riley in one game, Dabo Swinney and Ryan Day in the other one. It all starts at 11 o'clock, though, with the Tigers of Memphis against Penn State. That will start everybody's football Saturday of watching for sure with that game tomorrow morning between Memphis and Penn State. What are you thinking? If you're not going, if you're not down there already, what are you thinking about the game? How do you think the game will turn out? We'll do predictions at 67129. Send them to me at the First Bank text line. Give me some predictions on the Tigers game. I don't care if it's all heart and not realistic. It's not a time to be realistic. You're in a bowl game against Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. Heck, if you want to text in 55-0, that's fine. But give me where the temperature is, where you think the temperature is for this game tomorrow against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Not top story.
Not top story of the day.
Grizzlies are only 2 out of the 8th seed, as we talked about, in the West after one of the more solid wins of the season last night in Oklahoma City. They won by 13. It was easy most of the night. Little late flurry, not one that you were really sweating late in the game. Got 21 from Jonas, 20 from Jaron, 10 from Ja, and the bench play just spectacular. 15 off the bench for Tyus Jones, 15 from Brandon Clark. And as I said, probably what you want most in this reboot, start over, into the core 4 is hope. And the Grizzlies definitely have that. They have that, and that is what you want. It's why the phenomenon of National Signing Day is always such a big deal. That gives colleges, football or basketball, it gives you hope. But a little different from that with seeing it for the Grizzlies, seeing it with Jaron, seeing it with Ja, seeing it with Brandon Clark, and last night, the really solid game from Tyus Jones. I love that offseason acquisition of Tyus Jones. Now we'll see if he can perform somewhat consistent.
They have a very promising future. So if they can stick together, I believe they will do something in the future.
And need a lot more pieces. Got to make sure whatever they do for Andre Iguodala is nailed.
Yes, they need a veteran. In my opinion, they need a veteran.
If you move Jay Crowder, and I think he will be. I mean, you go through the potential playoff teams that Jay Crowder would help. Most of them.
Yeah.
And I think you can get somewhat of something more than serviceable to a really big addition out of him. Then into the draft, a little more luck there with how the draft pick falls out. It's kind of why you don't really want to go for it. But all in all, the Grizzlies definitely have hope.
They really do.
And they're playing hard. They're playing hard, and crowds have been decent to really good all year. And I think mostly people have responded well. 67129, your thoughts on the Tigers in the Cotton Bowl against Penn State tomorrow. What are some of the game watching plans for everybody? We talked about it yesterday. I'm sure the TV rating will be tremendous here in Memphis. I would love to on Monday when we'll work to get that. Just of the available TV sets in Memphis, how many are going to be on that game when the Tigers tee it up at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning in Dallas at Jerry's World. And you see all of the people from WHBQ that are there. Just what a great time they're having. I knew they would, and I knew the Cotton Bowl would treat them so well, and they have. And the Cotton Bowl being part of the playoff, the semifinal, they know every few years they're going to host a national semifinal game, but they very much wanted to treat it in years they're not hosting a national semifinal game, even when they do that. But those teams, they don't come in and treat it when it's the national semifinal games. The teams don't treat it like they would when it's just the standalone. But when it's the standalone, no semifinal year, they don't want to take any back seat to anybody. They want to keep doing it like they always doing it, regardless of who the teams are, conference affiliations, whatever it is. And I think everybody from Memphis definitely will be able to vouch of just A-plus exemplary treatment by the Cotton Bowl people. But most of the time, this is how a bowl trip is really judged. How much fun you have on the bowl trip.
It's been a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun.
If you win, that makes it a lot more fun.
Very.
That's when you have the time of your life, and when you get back home. And I think people will.
Can you just imagine how Beale Street might look tomorrow night?
I can't imagine. It might be a little bit like it looked on game day.
Yeah,
Saturday morning.
A sea of blue.
November 2nd with those festivities in town. But usually most bowl trips are really memorable if you win. And the Tigers haven't won a bowl game in a while. They haven't won since the brawl with BYU on the field and the brawl on the field after the game with BYU. We may get Gabe Kuhn's thoughts on that. He was primary to some of that. But tomorrow at the Cotton Bowl with the Tigers and Penn State, and the bowl games tonight. I think it's a good lineup of games tonight to watch. We're going to do our picks. Oklahoma State and Texas A&M tonight. It's the first game for an SEC team. Finally, an SEC team playing Oklahoma State. They started out a bigger favorite at 7.5. That's gone down to about 5.5 or 4 even in some places. But when we do our picks, we establish it at 7.5. I just wasn't that impressed when I saw A&M in person in Oxford in October. I thought that was a game that Ole Miss should have won, just didn't have enough to pull it out. Iowa and USC tonight in a rare non-ABC ESPN game, a Fox Sports 1 game, FS1, Iowa and USC in the Holiday Bowl. Long ago, when the Holiday Bowl was getting established, you could always count on a lot of fireworks from it in a wild game. When you say Iowa and USC, you'll probably be thinking more Rose Bowl participants than anything else. And then in something called the Cheez-It Bowl, who knew? It's tonight with Air Force and Washington State. Mike Leach. Not many people went after Mike Leach at coaching carousel time, did they? There's a reason why. I finished 6-6, no defense, and the jokes aren't near as funny when he's not outscoring everybody. And then tomorrow morning, it all starts with Camping World Bowl with Notre Dame and Iowa State alongside that's at the same time paralleling Tigers and Penn State in Dallas, and then into those two national semifinal games. And that's it for the games tomorrow, and no game Sunday. Everybody clears out for the NFL, and then a lot of games Monday, and then here in Memphis on Tuesday, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl will kick off. And the Rose Bowl has maintained their New Year's Day status when they're not a national semifinal game. When I went to it, it fell on New Year's Day, so they still played it on, I think that was on a Saturday, or maybe a Monday. That game was on a Monday, but that was the national semifinal game when I went to it 2 years ago for Georgia and Oklahoma, and a terrific game, high-scoring Rose Bowl in history. When we come back, we'll get the Vegas perspective from Bruce Marshall on all these games. He's next. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. Carl on the other side. Drew gone to Dallas as well. We're on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
The hour. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. If you need a roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you, and we will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. We have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for many years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies' new look, the Redbirds, the 901 FC, and the Tigers football and basketball teams, it's going to be a fun year. Thank you to Coach Norvell, Coach Hardaway, and their staffs for your dedication to your student athletes, the University of Memphis, and to fans like me who have waited forever to have both the football and basketball teams ranked at the same time. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
There's a new commissary in town, In Collierville, Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking, no telephone pole to get in your way, a cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis. For over 25 years, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 has been bringing you great local sports talk. With 13 hours of local talk daily, we continue to be Memphis's local sports leader. The day starts with Keith Parker and Elliot Wender on the Press Box from 6 to 7, followed by the Peter Edmiston Experience with C.J. Hurt from 7 to 10. Sports 56 middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy takes you through lunch from 10 until 1. And then, John Harden brings you Johnny Radio's Happy Hour from 1 to 3. Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy drive you home every afternoon with Sportstime with Wolo and Stats from 3 till 6. And John Rennie wraps up the day with Southern Sports Report from 6 to 7 before we turn things over to Fox Sports Radio to get you through the evening. We also bring you Ole Miss sports, NFL football, and the NCAA basketball tournament. Don't miss anything. Keep your radio locked in right here on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Thank you, Carl. Dave is away in Dallas. He will join us at some point. Sounds good. Thank you very much, men. And had to do a little homework there, or a little in-house work there. Thank you. Sounds great. And we will go to Las Vegas and talk to Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet about all these games. We have Bruce with us every Friday, year-round, but so much fun during the year to have him. And I know Bruce loves the bowl games like I do. They definitely has changed. I have found myself, and I hate when I do it, referring to the Clemson and Ohio State game and the Oklahoma and LSU game of calling them, and they are, the national semifinal games. I made a point. I made a note to myself today in my notes for the show to call them the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl because I don't want to lose that connection. I know to a lot of people you don't care. And that's fine. I'm not telling you to care. I still do. I don't want to lose that. And I know when we will go to 8 teams or at least 6 and maybe have buys. We will start to lose that, and I don't want to. I'm not going to contribute to it. If you want to, you go right ahead. I don't want to. Joining us now, Bruce Marshall from Las Vegas, joining us from the Gold Sheet and ready to talk bowls. Bruce, did you hear my little sermonette?
I did. I agree with you. And by the way, crazy day here. It's colder in Las Vegas. We've got snow all around the valley and in the mountains, and it's colder here than it is in New York for this Pinstripe Bowl game. But I agree with you. And listen, I can remember the first Peach Bowl. It was right before New Year's in '68. It was at Georgia Tech, Florida State, and LSU.
Yeah, Grant Field.
And yep, Grant Field. And then the first Fiesta Bowl was in '71, and that was Florida State with Gary Huff at quarterback against Arizona State, and that became a home for the old WAC for the champion in its bowl, which didn't used to have a bowl for itself, but that was a big deal in '71, and the Fiesta Bowl kind of took off almost immediately there. So, yeah, 2 bowls that have born in our lifetimes, and nice to see them in the Final Four here.
And Bruce, I don't want to sound like cranky old man that's averse to change. I'm fine with change. I think change is really good for people. I think a dying, atrophying institution is somebody who says, nope, we don't change that. We've always done it that way. I think that's a good way for a slow death, but I don't want to lose some of the pageantry near and far, our hometown game, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and these others. You mentioned 71. That year, and Bill Bender wrote a great piece today at Sporting News about how the Peach Bowl really went from playing at Grant Field, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, to then the Georgia Dome, and now the Mercedes-Benz Dome. And the gist of the story was from the mud to a national semifinal game, and some years even hosting the finals like they did 2 years ago. But in 71, nobody's ever played in more mud than Ole Miss and Georgia Tech did that night.
Yeah, I had 41-18, and they played. It was snow the year before with Arizona State and North Carolina, and that's an ASU went in there and won, I think, 48-26, and it snowed. So it can be raw weather, as you well know, in Atlanta this time of year. So they got the nice dome to play it in now, and even outdoors at the Atlanta Fulton County for many years after they moved from Grant Field for a couple of years, there was some raw weather for that game outdoors in the old Brave Stadium too.
And Bruce, we don't ever get I don't say too political. We never get political at all. But one thing that kind of makes me think about maybe temperature change, except for Arkansas and East Carolina a few years ago, we really haven't had that brutal that you just feel like you're at a refugee camp, cold AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I mean, we've had one or two in this 21st century. We used to have them every year in the 70s, in the Peach would and Dallas would.
Oh, yeah. I remember that BC Notre Dame game was, about 2 degrees there.
Oh, it was the all-timer.
So, yeah, and the Cotton Bowl has had several. In the past where the weather was bad, but now they're playing that in Jerry World. So, yeah, I guess it's progress, but I'm like you. I like to keep the old names as long as we can with the Bulls, and I'm like you. I'll keep calling them their real names, even if they're part of the playoff.
I'm going to try as best I can. And you mentioned the really frigid Notre Dame game. Mike Golick, a little bit of that. I've been around him, by no means friends. He would not know that I'm alive, but when he used to do games with Bill Curry, and who was the lead voice in that package? Anyway, they were out there doing games for years, and he would come to Oxford some, and I'd see him around some. I've seen him at Super Bowls. He will, when he sees me, he does not know my name, but he'll go, "Coldest I've ever been in my life, 1983, playing BC in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl." And then he'll say, and the second coldest he's ever been was sitting in the stands watching his brother Bob play Joe Montana. With Joe Montana when Notre Dame played Houston the day that Joe Montana almost had hypothermia.
The chicken soup game at halftime, 35-34. Great game. By the way, one last note on that game. We know how Notre Dame got at the last play of the game to score, to tie it. And the referee, a Southwest Conference rep, threw a holding flag on Notre Dame's extra point, forcing Joe Eunice to have to go back from 35 yards out to hit the extra point to win the game for Notre Dame, and he nailed it.
On a frozen field.
Rare holding call, and a bad weather day, too, and a rare holding call on an extra point. You don't see that too often, but we saw one in Notre Dame Houston, that great Cotton Bowl.
And you've seen it with me. We went, my favorite of all the exhibits at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, my favorite thing, they literally have the bowl that the Notre Dame managers, equipment staff, trainers put the chicken soup in, warmed it up, and fed it to Joe Montana to warm him up. All right, let's talk these games. Tonight, first SEC game, now 5.5, Oklahoma State. That line's come down. They were 7.5 at one point, now 5.5 over the Texas Aggies down in Houston.
Yeah, and we like the Aggies even at the earlier number here, and this number, it can't. It's just a late money move here. It's not, anything else. Chuba Hubbard announced last week he was going to play, so that didn't move the line right when it did. There were some people in Stillwater, Brett, who thought up until about midway last week that Hubbard might not play in this game. He still might not come back next year. He still might opt for the NFL draft, but he's going to use this as one more chance to audition himself. He's thinking he still might only be a second-round pick if he comes out. He'd like to have a big effort here to maybe get in the first round. And before deciding if he wants to come back next year. Anyway, Jimbo, this is a big game for A&M. Now, last year they also had a tough schedule, took out their frustrations on NC State in the Belk Bowl, where none of those Aggie X's think the Aggies should be playing, or this Texas Bowl. They'd rather have them be in the Final Four. They've let Jimbo know that. So starting next year, I think the pressure ramps up. By the way, the schedule gets much easier for A&M next year. They're rotating SEC East Bowl. They swap out Georgia for Vanderbilt. They also swap out Clemson for Colorado and non-conference. And, oh, by the way, all 4 non-conference at Kyle Field. It'll get better for Jimbo next year. And I think this is the first game for 2020 for him. Drew Brown probably entered the backup quarterback again for Oklahoma State. They did not fare well against Oklahoma in Bedlam. And I think Jimbo, with a good crowd support in Houston tonight, bounces back from that bad game against LSU, which is understandable. Kellen Mond had a horrible game, but that was right after the Georgia game, and they were overscheduled at that point. I think A&M bounces back tonight. 35-23, we took the Aggies tonight in Houston against Oak State.
Goal sheet says 35-23, and you're right about Jimbo Fisher. He's not in anything resembling trouble, but these bowl games, even for people that dismiss them, you win them, it still can insulate you from a little noise and a little criticism, and he can definitely get some cover with that kind of win in front of mostly Aggie partisans tonight at NRG Stadium. Another game tonight, Iowa, 2.5-point favorite over USC in San Diego at the Holiday Bowl, and this one used to be a lot of fireworks. I don't know if there'll be that many points scored tonight with, I think, pretty average quarterback play for Iowa and okay quarterback play for USC. What does Bruce Marshall on the goal sheet say?
Yeah, a lot of moving parts here. There's a late money move to SC here. I'm seeing 1.5 and 1s even in the last half hour around town here in Vegas. Not sure why, but that's what we're seeing. I think the whole key is if Iowa puts pressure on Keaton Slovis. That we saw BYU do it, Washington did it, Oregon, and that disrupted SC. But the teams that couldn't, like UCLA, Arizona, some of those Pac-12 teams didn't, and they paid the price. Iowa's got enough defense, and Kirk Ferentz is smart enough. I think he can do that. What I don't know about is this Iowa offense. Nate Stanley's got an NFL arm, the quarterback. I think he's going to get drafted, but he was hindered by very conservative play calling all year for Iowa. Lost 3 games. The Hawkeyes could have won games in which they scored 22, 3, and 12 points. I mean, they should be doing better than that. If he can open up the offense, I think Iowa wins this game. And by the way, we like Clay Helton, but a lot of SC people are not happy about the way the decision went down to keep him next year. It has hurt SC in the recruiting. They were way down the track. And the Pac-12, not just nationally, in the early signing period, they're using this against the Trojans. And pressure is still going to be on Helton next year, even though the new president and AD decided not to succumb to the whims of the boosters, who were really adamant. So we'll see what goes. 31-26 Iowa. We're taking the Hawkeyes tonight in San Diego, where there will be a lot of Iowa fans as well.
Big Ten over Pac-12 in that one. Bright and early tomorrow morning at the Cotton Bowl at Jerry Jones' Stadium, AT&T Stadium. Penn State 6.5 to 7-point favorites now over the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, and a totally different situation a few years ago from Memphis, the last time they had a coaching change here. Remember, that game in Birmingham was a real downer. Nobody showed up there. They had Darrell Ray Dickey as the interim before Norvell took over. Pointe had left for Virginia Tech. This time, though, I mean, things much smoother. They've already promoted Ryan Silverberg, so the staff
Ryan
is pretty
Silverfield,
much intact.
yeah.
Silverfield, right. Mm-hmm. And so they're not going to have what was going on a couple of years ago in Birmingham ain't going to be the same. And I think that will be a plus for the Tigers here tonight. Brady White, or tomorrow. I think Brady White can do some business here. Penn State at the end of the year lost momentum. Sean Clifford was hurting at quarterback, and they didn't look that great lately. They only had 1 or 2 easy games all year anyway. And they have not had an easy bowl with James Franklin. I think it's going to be close. I think Memphis has got a shot here. And what the heck, let's call it 33-31 Memphis. Slight upset here. We'll take the Tigers. I don't think Penn State is that great. And I think if Memphis shows up here, and I'm sure it will, this will not look anything like that Birmingham Bowl against Auburn a few years ago. And Memphis gets the job done.
Bruce, I think at skill position, a decided speed advantage for Memphis. Am I too close to it?
No, I think you might be right, because I saw Minnesota, not too dissimilar, not too different from Memphis in the way its offense works, really hurt Penn State with big plays in that game. And Penn State, I mean, a lot of the teams that played in the Big Ten, Ohio State, it hung around okay with Ohio State, so I don't want to knock this Penn State defense too much, but there is a speed edge I think Memphis had, something what Minnesota showed in that game against Penn State.
All right, Bruce, we got to get to the national semifinal games, the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. That's what they are. LSU 13.5 over Oklahoma in the nightcap, or in the first game, and then the nightcap,
Yep.
Clemson 2 over Ohio State. Your picks on those, and then we got to get all the way out through the Gator Bowl because we won't talk to you again. And I know Tennessee fans want to hear your take on UT and Indiana.
Yeah, we're going to go with LSU here, even if Hilaire is out. Listen, running backs, you can fill the gaps. I'm not sure Oklahoma can replace a couple of guys on its defense, especially Perkins, the defensive end, their best pass rusher. Oklahoma's pass rush wasn't that bad this year, and that's what one upgrade that Alex Grinch had there. I have a feeling they're going to be chasing this game. You've got to disrupt Joe Burrow some. He throws in progression as good as any quarterback I've seen in the college level ever. I think LSU's ahead. Oklahoma's chasing the game. That back door could be open. I'm a little worried about that, but at this price, we're going to take LSU 45-28 in the Peach Bowl tomorrow.
Goal sheet says LSU by 17. The line is 13.5. Then to Phoenix to the Fiesta Bowl.
Dabo's record in bowl games is too good to overlook. He's beaten in recent years, since 2012, beaten Ohio State twice. He's beaten Alabama twice. He's beaten Oklahoma twice. He's beaten LSU. He's beaten Notre Dame. Who else is there to beat in a who's who list? I mean, he keeps doing it.
Only one.
They've only one. They didn't cover the point spread was against Alabama with Kelly Bryant a couple of years ago. So he's 9-1 against the spread in bowls. I don't know that Justin Fields is 100% for Ohio State. The speed thing, I think we talked about Memphis a second ago. I think Clemson's got more than any team Ohio State's seen this year. The difference for Ohio State 5 years ago when it won was Zeke, and Alabama and Oregon could not cope with him. Dobbins is a good back, but he's not Zeke, and Justin Fields might not be 100%. This gives Dabo the opening he needs. 38-28 Clemson. They've beaten Ohio State a couple times. In fact, 3-0 back to that Gator Bowl with the Woody Hayes, Charlie Bauman, so I think it goes to 4-0 for Clemson in this series.
And that was in Danny Ford's first game. He started 1-0 on the night Woody Hayes said goodbye. Tuesday, Virginia Tech, 2.5 over Kentucky. Quickly in that SEC game, who do you like?
I like Lynn Bowden and what he did with the Kentucky this year. Nobody could stop that running game as the season progressed. We had it Kentucky 23, Virginia Tech 17 up in that one.
Kentucky gets points in that one. You calling it outright. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 2:45 on New Year's Eve afternoon. The United States Naval Academy, a 2.5-point favorite over K-State.
I like K-State, but bowl games, service academies, 20-9 against the spread last 29, 34-14 against the spread back to the early 80s. Service academies and bowls, you know they're going to show up. You can have a couple of weeks extra to prepare for the option, but you can't prepare for the speed for it. And this is one of the best-looking options I've ever seen the Navy has, and it's a better defense this year, too, for Navy. 31-23, midshipmen, we're taking the Service Academy, like we're taking Air Force tonight, by the way, against Washington State.
Air Force as well. Throw that in there on the picks. The Iron Bowl combatants, both 7-point favorites. Citrus Bowl, Bama 7 over Michigan. New Year's Day as well, Auburn 7-point favorite over the Golden Gophers. Those two games in the Outback Bowl.
Nick does not have the great bowl record that a lot of people think, but he dislikes Michigan from his days at Michigan State. Harbaugh's record in big games has been abysmal, 0-5 against Ohio State. Lost his last 3 bowl games, last 2 to SEC teams, boat raced by Florida last year. We saw what Ohio State's offense did to Michigan's defense on November 30th at Ann Arbor. Even with Mac Jones in there, I think Alabama does it. 44-28, Crimson Tide runs away in this one from the Wolverines. In the Outback Bowl, like Auburn, maybe even more than I like Alabama. If you're telling them Minnesota, the schedule set up real well for that Penn State game, which we referenced a few moments ago, but lost to Iowa, lost to Wisconsin after that. Anybody in their right minds who thinks Minnesota could have gone into Baton Rouge and played LSU within 3 or beaten Alabama is nuts. I mean, Minnesota would be lucky to be 500 playing Auburn's schedule. I don't think it would have been. Gus is going to get him here. 34-20. Auburn will take care of Minnesota in the Outback.
Georgia, 6-point favorite New Year's night over Baylor.
We're going to write this one up in the new Gold Sheet out on Monday. We're still debating this one. There's the reasons to like Baylor, and I think Charlie Brewer's probably going to play at quarterback. Though Zeno, that third-string freshman, looked awfully good against Oklahoma. Matt Rule, kind of like the new Tom Herman, and he covers games as an underdog. I don't know about this offense. I predict Kirby will do a lot to change this offense in the offseason. They are too pedestrian, I think, to be comfortable laying this many points And I think Baylor's got a shot. We don't have a score on this one yet, but we're going to probably take Baylor plus the points in the Sugar.
And Tennessee 1.5 slight favorite over Indiana. Quickly, please, Bruce.
Slight to Tennessee next week. We'll write that one up in the Monday issue, but I'm leaning to Tennessee right now, and a close one over Indiana down in Jacksonville.
Anything from the NFL that just jumps out at us you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think Cincinnati beats Cleveland this week, ends this terrible season for the Browns, or disappointing season. Andy Dalton's probably last game, but he's going to play somewhere next year. It's a nice audition point for him. Upset pick of the week. Not a huge upset, but I'm taking the Bengals to beat the Browns.
Tell our listeners how they can get more of this great information from the Gold Sheet.
Thanks, Brett. Check us out online, goldsheet.com. We got the new bowl issue coming out on Monday. The new bowl issue up there right now, we call it Bowls 2 plus NFL weekend action right now, goldsheet.com. Monday, the new issue that'll also have NFL wildcard playoffs. Gold Sheet Hoops every Thursday, the new issue up there right now. Goldsheet.com. My picks are up there. They're also at Vegas Insider and DonBest.com.
Bruce, much appreciation. Happy New Year to you and yours, and we look forward to visiting with you next Friday on the first Friday of 2020. Thank you, sir.
Happy New Year, Brett. Thank you.
You got it. Bruce Marshall with us every Friday, and he loved Alabama and Auburn, and he picked the Tigers straight up, plus the points, but winning straight up 33-31. We come back, we round out hour number one. This is Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find Real Sports Talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
This is the time of year when people come in from out of town and you want to impress them, and there's simply no better way to impress out-of-towners than 117 Prime in the heart of beautiful downtown Memphis. If your family or friends are visiting Memphis for the first time or for the first time in a long time, take them to the finest dining destination in downtown Memphis, 117 Prime. They'll be amazed by the best steaks in town and the best atmosphere anywhere in the city. 117 Prime is built to impress your visitors. 117 Prime is simply built to impress.
Flo here with a word that's just weird. Terry cloth. Who exactly is Terry? And why does he get his own fabric? Did he journey below SPF 50? Fight off some weeds in his daffodils? How about a word for everyone? Flotection. Yeah, I just made it up. But I'm not making up how great it feels when me and Progressive protect your new home. Ever think of that, Terry? No. Terry only thinks of himself.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochin and Brett Norsworthy.
So the SEC finally gets going tonight with Texas A&M favored in every game except for the Kentucky game. Bruce liked Kentucky in that one. They're a slight underdog to Justin Fuente and Virginia Tech in that game, but favored in all the rest. 9 SEC games, a potential of a 10th game if LSU wins in the semis. In the Peach Bowl, there I go again. If they win in the Peach Bowl, and then they will play in the national championship game. So it could be 10. What will the SEC record be? Because I hear so many people talk about the bowls mattering or not mattering. I can tell you when they'll matter. You let the SEC go 2-7 and have nobody in LSU not win the Peach Bowl and not get to the finals. That's when the bowls will matter then.
It really will. It's because it's not normal not to see an SEC team in the playoff four.
That's it. And win or lose, you know what rings out in the stadium. If it wins, it's with the SEC pride of chanting SEC. But now the other teams, when they beat you, they're chanting it, but it's with derision.
They're most definitely gonna let you know we beat the SEC team.
So it matters to them when they do that. I love the whole back and forth on it does or doesn't matter, because when if the SEC went 7-2. I'd be told far and wide, well, Brett, the bowls don't matter that much.
And I don't believe it. If I put that jersey on, it matters.
It should.
It matters. If I'm putting I'm risking my body to go out here and play the sport that I love, it matters to me.
I think it should. And into the last night you saw the young man how he reacted for Eastern Michigan. It was obviously mattering to him at Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, he loves the game.
You could tell that. And you could tell it with their fans, and they did pack out. They had a big crowd at Ford Field, and Dave called it yesterday with the proximity of Ypsilanti to Detroit. He felt like it would. So tonight, A&M now 4.5-point favorite over Oklahoma State. I disagree with Bruce on that one. When we get to our picks, I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I don't think the SEC wins that game. They could, but I don't think they will. What I saw at A&M, when I saw them, they didn't knock me over whatsoever. Then tomorrow, Oklahoma and LSU. I think most are going to, just to win the game, pick LSU for sure. Monday, Mississippi State playing Louisville. State, a 4-point favorite. Now have to start Tommy Stevens after Garrett Schrader's injury. And Florida and Virginia will play in the Orange Bowl on Monday night. I think most, with Florida being heavy favorite, would pick Florida there. I'll save my Mississippi State prediction for when we do picks. But I didn't think State played very well down the course of the year. I know they won the Egg Bowl by 1 and didn't play great that night. Didn't have to play very great. It was very average, two very average teams playing that night. It was competitive, but average teams. Then we talked with Bruce about Virginia Tech and Kentucky on New Year's Eve. He likes Kentucky in that game. I don't know that I'm with him on that one either. And then on January 1, Minnesota and Auburn, just to win the game. Who wins, who loses, never mind the point spread. Of course, take Auburn. And same with Alabama and Michigan. Want to see how Shea Patterson does against Alabama.
That's going to be a good game.
The last time he played against Alabama, it was not very good when he was at Ole Miss. It was 66-3. Georgia and Baylor in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Eve night. 7:45 kick. That is a late kickoff on a Wednesday night for everybody, most everybody having to go back to work January 2nd. And then Tennessee in the Gator Bowl on January 2nd, playing against Indiana, a slight favorite against Tom Allen's Hoosiers. And I thought this year Jeremy Pruitt really maxed his team out. Maybe one more win out there. Maybe that BYU game. It was not Georgia State. Georgia State really handled Tennessee on that opening afternoon. If you could kind of change one, I think it would probably be the BYU overtime loss, if you were just being honest with yourself, as we never are with our college football fandom. This weekend, I know you're going to have a lot of game watching and watching all the bowls and enjoying them with family and friends, and a great place to stock up for that. It's the commissary. Either place, the new Collierville commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, just delicious, authentic Memphis-style great food. You can begin your barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. The smoked chicken wings are fantastic for watching all these games and getting ready to usher in the new year. Then you can dig into the ribs or the barbecue shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a gigantic sandwich, or you can just get it on the plate. Comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack at the commissary, either the new Collierville commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar or the original in Germantown. And don't forget about the best lemon ice box pie anywhere, terrific banana pudding. Go online at commissarybarbecue.com or call them at 754-5540 and start your party with the Germantown commissary or the Collierville commissary. I know a lot of people had the 36-hour holiday bird at Thanksgiving, at the Christmas time holiday. I know you enjoyed it. We have to wait till next Thanksgiving again for that, but it'll be back for sure. The Germantown and Collierville commissary, Walker Taylor, has done it the right way, and I know he's going to be pulling hard for his Tigers tomorrow, and I know we'll see Walker at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl on Tuesday at Liberty Bowl Stadium. So get your party and end the year and start your new year at the commissary, Collierville or Germantown. When we come back, we'll start the 4 o'clock hour with visiting with Jimmy Ott from ESPN Baton Rouge on LSU and Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl. LSU and Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon. Hard to believe that that's kind of the opening act. The Heisman Trophy winner and the Heisman runner-up kicking things off tomorrow. But when you got Ohio State, the networks are always going to put them in prime time to draw that big Midwestern crowd, Midwestern TV watching crowd that you know they'll draw. But LSU and Oklahoma, we talk about that next to start hour number 2 on this Friday afternoon on Sportstime with Wolo and Stats. Carl Morrison on the other side doing a great job. Drew taking the day off. He's in Dallas. We're on Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1.
Campbell Clinic now offers daytime walk-in care, and you don't need an appointment. If you've got any kind of urgent break, sprain, strain, you can walk into any of their 5 convenient locations Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. There's no long wait you have to put up with the ER, and those doctors are really good, but they're not orthopedists. They're not world-renowned orthopedists who have come up with different procedures and written the manuals for them that are used everywhere in the world, and I'm not kidding you. And you can now see those doctors who treat the Tigers, the Grizzlies, the Redbirds. You can see them today without an appointment. And I'm talking Collierville, Germantown, South Haven, downtown at the Med Center, or even the Campbell Clinic Spine Center in Cordova. Now, if you've got something pressing, you got to go to work, and you can bear the pain until the evening, there's Campbell Clinic After Hours. That's Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 in Germantown, South Haven, even Saturday morning in Germantown. If you're injured, don't wait. Visit Campbell Clinic Walk-In Care or Campbell Clinic After Hours.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1, and 87.7 FM, as well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app, and at home, tell Alexa or Google to play Sports 56. If it's happening in the world of sports, we've got it covered. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Situation wrecks me. I can't stand the way you do it. Bad girl, don't put me through it. Right to the limit.
Friday afternoon. Dave in Dallas with the Tigers. We're getting ready to be joined by Jimmy Ott from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge and talk LSU and Oklahoma. LSU a big favorite over Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon in the Mercedes-Benz Dome down in Atlanta. We'll visit with Gabe Kuhn from Dallas. Gabe is in Dallas with the Tigers, with his beloved Tigers. We'll visit with him about 4:30. We'll talk a little basketball. About 4:50, Tigers play tomorrow afternoon. A little bit forgotten, a little bit lost with everything else going on. They play tomorrow afternoon against New Orleans, against UNO, the Privateers. And then they play on Monday night against Tulane. So a lot of teams from New Orleans for Tiger basketball coming up on Saturday and on Monday. And a week from Saturday, the big SEC non-conference matchup with Georgia, when the Bulldogs come to town and play against the Tigers in basketball to start the new calendar year. And then into conference play against Wichita State on Thursday night, January 9th. when the Tigers travel to Wichita to play Wichita State, the Wheat Shockers and Greg Marshall's team that got better and better last year. We go to Atlanta now to Jimmy Ott, our buddy from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. He's there with the Tigers, and the party has already started very big in Atlanta. Jimmy, can you hear us?
Hey man, how you guys doing?
Doing well, Jimmy. How's it going in Atlanta with LSU getting set to play in the Peach Bowl against OU?
It's busy, man. Team's been here since Sunday, but the crowd started coming in late last night, but really today, getting ready for tomorrow's game. So we're at the Marriott Marquis, which is the team the team hotel, and they're kind of tired of being here, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is quite a festive atmosphere over here.
I bet it is. I said I was going to start with you with this question and picking out favorite national championship teams. Good problem, first of all, to have, but it's a little bit like picking out maybe favorite grandchildren. But this one would probably have to go to the most beloved because if I'm correct, this would be the first undefeated LSU team, right?
No, 58. They won the national championship. That was the year before Billy Cannon won the national championship.
Okay, so they
Heisman Trophy. Of course, in 03 they lost the game to Florida. 07 they lost 2 games.
Right.
So the modern era. And there was one way back in the 1900s, early 1900s, where they had an undefeated season. But no, just looking for the first undefeated season since 1958.
Okay.
Keep in mind. The polls were already in by the time they played the Sugar Bowl. It beat Clemson 7-0. They had won a national championship by beating and winning the last game against Tulane, which was a 6-0 game at halftime. And Paul Diesel, my dad was on the team. Paul Diesel told him and said, "Look, man, 30 minutes between you guys and their national championship, and well, they outscored Tulane in the second half, 56-0, and went 62-0 down in the Sugar Bowl."
Yeah, okay, so I got it a little confused. So I knew they didn't win it with Billy Cannon the year he won the Heisman. So this would be undefeated with the Heisman Trophy winner. Already got that with Joe Burrow, and 15-0. And, Jimmy, I just didn't know if anybody could do it with the SEC gauntlet now, LSU 2 away and starting with Oklahoma tomorrow. Are you worried a little bit about being so heavily favored for LSU?
Not at all. Not at all. This is why we spent a lot of time on our show discussing about what had to happen to get the number 1 seed. This is the advantage. It's a competitive advantage. You want to be in a pick'em game, 2 games in a row, or do you want to be a 14-point favorite? I'll take the 14-point favorite spot every time.
Every time.
And that's why it was so important to get that number 1 seed. And that's why they can take the approach to make sure their all conference running back will be ready to go before the national championship game. I know coaches never want to assume everything, but this is a much more favorable matchup than what – I mean, that's 2 really good teams playing in Phoenix, Clemson, Ohio State, and one of them's not advanced. It's just that simple. Everybody would trade for LSU spot right now. It's why you play. That's the reward you get for having the best resume. And I know we're going to be a little bit biased because we're going to see things through LSU's angle a little bit, but nobody can argue that LSU didn't play the tougher schedule. It's just that simple.
No, they played a rugged schedule and really dispatched most everybody pretty easily during the course of the year. You know, now the big win down in Austin, they won by 7, but it was at Austin. But people have to remember when that was and what a lot of people were thinking that Texas could do with LSU that night. And LSU got better and better every week, and Texas really didn't. That's not LSU's fault.
No, it's not, but Texas didn't help LSU with their resume because that was a well-played game. Texas had some athletes. There's some extreme weather conditions that really put LSU defense, both defenses, in compromised situations, playing 99 snaps in 100-degree heat. But, I mean, that's part of it, and that's why LSU had to not just beat A&M in Georgia, but destroy them to get back in that number 1 spot. Because if Texas goes 10-2, I mean, it's viewed as a much more of a quality win. So, no, Texas had injuries. Texas wasn't what they were later, but hey, that's part of the ball game. And I mean, if they go on to having a mediocre season like they did, it's not going to help your resume.
It feels like Joe Burrow during the course of the year, you could tell the love affair with LSU fans, but even ramped up with the French spelling of the name and the jersey for the last home game against Texas A&M, and then that Heisman Trophy speech. You know, we're old enough to remember John Cappelletti talking about his baby brother, Joey. Joe Burrow nailed the speech on Saturday night, and as I understand it, the more formal ceremony the next night or on Monday night, I don't know which one it was, he replicated it again and knocked it out. But the love affair it's got to be with a youngster from Ohio.
Well, I mean, you could have taken a guy from the moon, and if he plays quarterback like this for LSU, their love affair is going to be there. Okay, but they do appreciate his drive, his ability to work hard. People know football around here. Okay, we might not be the highest academic IQ around, but we know football. And the thing is, they understand you don't get that smart, that good, without preparation, without hard work, without your receivers catching 10,000 balls in the off season. Tom Rinaldi comes in to do an interview with the receivers, and they're like, "Well, hold up, I got to ask Joe." And they asked Jamar Chase, "Well, we got 15 minutes. Well, I got to ask Joe." The guys had to have bodyguards, multiple bodyguards, the last 2.5, 3 months because he gets absolutely mobbed in Baton Rouge wherever he goes. This is an offensive starved fan base. This is a quarterback starved fan base. So even increases the level of appreciation, and he is a flat-out rock star. And then when he comes out with the EAUX on senior night, you think about it, we don't even see that many senior nights because people go pro if they're really good after their junior year. And so you had that. Oh, they went nuts. I mean, his Heisman speech was from the heart. It wasn't from a script. So maybe the imperfections and the pauses and the emotional pauses are all even, make it that much more special because it was genuine.
It was real.
But let me tell you, you had some rugged Bayou guys, some tough, men's men guys that were had tears in their eyes watching that speech on that Saturday night.
Yeah.
I mean, no, this cat, he's an immortal down here. Trust me. And when they put up his statue, I think that's the best way to do it because 60 years from now, wait, why has he got his name spelled like this and he's pointing to the back of his jersey? A story goes with it. So, no. And, we had his dad, Jimmy Burrow, on the show earlier today here in Atlanta, and he's a rock star. They can't even travel by air anymore because they get delayed and stuff. So, man, they are rock stars for life, immortals, the whole bit. And no, it's just it's a cool story. But he knows where he is. He can't even Joe Burrow can't think about going to a restaurant in Baton Rouge. Not even close. Not even close.
You know what Jimmy Burrow and Ed Orgeron have in common, don't you? They both started at Ole Miss. Jimmy Burrow was from Avery and played at Ole Miss through his sophomore year.
Well, they talk about their relatives in Mississippi and how it's geographically close. And that's the first thing I talked to Jimmy today off the air, and he said, "Well, we just got to meet so much family, and it's just been so awesome to have family." So, no, they have spent time in Mississippi when they played in Oxford, in Starkville this year, and no, they've talked about those relatives. And that's the first thing I think. What's your schedule look like? He says, "Well, waiting on family, doing this." And so it's been a really cool year for the Burrow family, no doubt. From 5th round flyer type of draft pick to Locke #1 overall pick, it's been really cool.
Jimmy Ott, our guest from ESPN down in Baton Rouge, he's in Atlanta getting ready for the Peach Bowl tomorrow afternoon. Anybody taking any slights that the Heisman Trophy winner and the Heisman runner-up, Jalen Hurts, that it's the opening act, that the matinee, the primetime games, Clemson and Ohio State, is that just for us to talk about, or any motivation being taken with that?
When Jalen Hurts, when Alabama has come up with Jalen Hurts, he doesn't want to talk about it. Flat out. He takes it as a slight to his team, and it's just that simple. So when they've asked him questions and things like that, Jalen has been pretty classy. He doesn't want to take anything away from his team's accomplishment, and that's the same tone he had in Dallas when they beat Baylor for the Big 12 championship. Hey guys, look, I got to run, man.
Okay, Jimmy, thank you so much. Good luck to the Tigers, and Happy New Year to you, Jimmy Ott, with ESPN Baton Rouge, joining us to talk all things Peach Bowl and getting ready for the Oklahoma game tomorrow night. And I think LSU will cruise big in that one. They had that big early win at Texas. I don't know, and then OU narrowly beat Texas in Red River Shootout. They beat them by 7. That's the same margin that LSU won by in Austin, though. They won in Austin, and Red River, as most people know, that is about as neutral as it gets. It is split right down the middle, so it was not quite the partisan place if Texas is the judge. I wonder the SEC West team, you'd probably say Alabama, I think, but its offense doesn't really look like OU's offense. Which one would be the most characteristic of it? Maybe they're not SEC West. Maybe George. Do we have Jimmy back? I thought Jimmy was gone. Jimmy, you back with us? Jimmy, you back?
Yeah, I apologize.
No
It's a
worries.
bad house over here at the team hotel at the Marriott Marquis downtown.
I thought you had to go. We were going to let you go.
Oh, they run out of beer and everything else over here. The band's playing, at the team hotel, and that's kind of one of the different things here. I mean, when you play in a bowl game, they want to have all the festivities and all the week-long stuff, and you fly your whole support.
I don't want to
staff
lose
here.
that though.
But for a semifinal game, when you've got so much on the line, it's such a big game. They've been here since Sunday, so at least with all of the fans arriving now, the fever pitch is over here at the team hotel, and they're ready for football now.
Hey,
because it's been a long stay here in Atlanta.
Two more questions for you, and I want to ask one pro question about the Saints, but one last college. What will New Orleans be like on Monday night, January 13th, if LSU is in that game?
Well, I've been to the 03, the 07, and the 11 national championship games in that dome. And, Brett, that's a building I grew up in, going to see Pete Maravich play in the late 70s, man. And running up in those chutes when I was 6, 7 years old. And I can remember a lot of days, and it's going to be electric. So much that here's the thing. I know it's a ticket broker for a long time. You can get face value tickets here in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl, for the semifinal against Oklahoma tomorrow. You're not getting face value in New Orleans. And some people are kind of saving their money, thinking that maybe, okay, 2-touchdown favorite, we're going to be there.
Naturally.
Because you're looking at $1,200 to $1,500 tickets, and it's going to be a monster, and it's going to be a lot of the local crowd, the LSU crowd, driving it up. So, we were here in Atlanta for the conference championship game, 4-1 Georgia fans to LSU. Some people saving their money there. Now we're here for the semifinal. We'll have more fans in Oklahoma, but there's still some of that group that's saving their money for that national championship game, and it's an advantage. It's an advantage. It's a big advantage in that building, even in 11 when Alabama, destroyed LSU. But it's an advantage to enough to where Clemson or Ohio State would have been a 1-point favorite, but William Hill has put LSU as a 2-point favorite over whoever advances out of Phoenix because of that home field advantage.
Jimmy, thank you for rejoining us. And will LSU's success, does that put more pressure on Sean Payton and Drew Brees and the Saints to make it the double victory, 2 titles in about 35, 40 days, or less than that? It'd be about 20 days from December 13th to the Super Bowl. Does that put more pressure on the Saints, what LSU's doing?
No, not at all. You're talking to a guy that, your biggest thrill going to Saints games in the 70s and 80s was throwing a damn paper airplane pulled out of the folder from the terrace and see if it can land on the 50. No. Well, I mean, this we see what's happening at Dallas. We see what's happening at Washington, where ownership gets in the way. And they talk about maybe Payton's going to leave. Miss Gale doesn't have any heirs. She doesn't have anybody to leave this team to and all this money to. She is given the whole, the Pelicans, the Saints, every resource available to make sure this team wins. And no, we're just happy that they're relevant. No, I mean, tough one, brutal loss against San Francisco. That may be the difference in the Saints getting back to the Super Bowl at night. But no, Sean Payton and the ownership, it's a different ball game with the Saints these days. And no extra pressure because of LSU.
Now, Jimmy, you be safe out there tonight partying with all the people in Atlanta, okay?
Yeah, I'll need it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk next year. Jimmy Ott from ESPN down in Baton Rouge. Appreciate him rejoining us. And LSU getting ready for that. Yeah, I agree. It's got to be exclusive the pressure. The Saints, it's different pressure. It's an NFL team. They're concerned with and they're pulling for the college team, but they're not letting that apply any more pressure to them. 67129 at the First Bank text line, 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. And if you're looking for a great place to deposit your money, try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street Prime and interest-bearing checking account options, not to mention the friendly local bankers that make all the decisions about you here in Memphis and in our area. They make the decisions right here in Memphis about you. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's local branches, the one on Poplar, just east of International Paper, the new location on Poplar, Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland, or visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com, and they know what you need. You need a reliable Memphis, trustworthy banker that can give you an answer and that make the decisions about you right here in Memphis. A direct answer from the First Bank banker that you're dealing with. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. 360-8255, the phone number, or 67129, the First Bank text line. And what a day of football tomorrow. It will literally be from 11 till about 11. I mean, it will be 12 hours of, I think, quality football on TV with the two 11 o'clockers, Notre Dame and Iowa State in one, and, of course, the hometown team, the 12-1 champions of the American Athletic Conference Tigers against Penn State, 10-2 from the Big Ten, and then into the Peach Bowl and into the Fiesta Bowl. That Fiesta Bowl will kick about at 7 o'clock. It'll be a 3.5 hour game for sure. So you're going to have 12 hours of football tomorrow afternoon. One other game, no, that's all the games tomorrow, and then games back on Monday, starting on Monday with the First Responder Bowl in Dallas. Tickets available, sections available for that at Venerable Old Cotton Bowl Stadium as we get into Monday afternoon games. We already have a final today. Temple got blasted by North Carolina, 55-13. North Carolina easily over Temple today. And last night, we talked about it some. We'll talk about it more in a bit. The Grizzlies with the win over Oklahoma City last night. Carl, if you had to bet on the Grizzlies getting that eighth and final playoff spot on the 27th of December, would you do it? Would you bet yes?
It's kind of tough.
Real tough.
But you know what? The way they're clicking and playing, their only problem is they can't finish games, in my opinion.
Finished last night.
They finished last night. So
I think everybody was on alert last night, though, a little scared late in the game.
You know what?
They got it down to 6 or so once.
Okay, I'm a man that takes risks, so I would risk. Not my life savings, but I would take a risk on the Grizzlies saying they could possibly get the 8th seed.
But that's the tough spot they're in. Do they really want to? And what would that do? You wouldn't add to it. You wouldn't do anything to kind of mortgage the future. But if you could get to it, think what it would do at the box office in Jaren's second year, in Brandon Clark and Jaws' rookie season. What that would do for advanced ticket sales for next year. It would create a lot of momentum.
You really would. And then depending on what you do with these draft picks, the city could be very exciting again.
Still have to do a lot of things right. The news today, speaking of Grizzlies, and on Monday we will do our top 10 local and national stories of the year, and we will also do our sports person of the year nationally and locally. But we'll also have this twist. We will have local and national people of the decade, sports people of the decade, this decade that is ending. And locally for me on Monday, it's got to be who has formally announced his official retirement today, and that's Zach Randolph. I thought he was the true heart and soul of the Big Four. His transformation personally paralleled with the Memphis Grizzlies transformation, and what a good story it made.
I agree with you because, I've met him off the court. He's unbelievable person. So I can understand why you would call him the man of the decade because he has done a lot for the city. Of course, he went with them to the West Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken.
In 2011.
Yeah, making history. 8 seed.
In 2013, the Western Conference Finals.
Right, beating the team, 8 seed beating the 1 seed.
In 2011.
It's not too often that happens. And for the Grizzlies to do it, let alone winning their first playoff game, let alone the whole series, had something to do with Zach Randolph.
And to take down that 1 seed San Antonio in his floater at FedEx Forum on a Friday night in April, I've never heard that building louder before or since when it went through the nylon. And, yeah, Shane Battier's shot in game 1 of that really was kind of the impetus for that series. But the sealer to end it
Zach Randolph.
was Zebo's floater, and it did float. It was like it was in the air for a long time and nothing but net.
And everybody was just –
and the reaction, what Bill Street outside the building was like that night was I didn't think I'd ever see it with the Grizzlies the day they moved here.
I never thought I'd see it either. And I actually was so excited that I actually went on Bill Street that night.
It was a wild and crazy scene. It was a real late game as we learned during the playoff runs. A lot of 8:30 tip times.
Yeah, a lot of them.
And a lot of late nights, early mornings during the playoffs. And Zach Randolph with the formal announcement today that he's retiring. I thought he got robbed the last few years by teams not picking him up, and where he got robbed was just what he was going to do for the back of the basketball card, just what he would do, just almost by showing up and averaging, say, 8-10 points a game over 60 games. So that'd be 600 points right there over the last 3 years. Well, you add that 1,800 to 2,000 points to his total career point total, that moves him up that all-time list where you almost cannot deny them Hall of Fame.
You can't. And, like, what I admire most about him is he played his game the way he wanted to play it. You couldn't stop him doing what he wanted to do with the soft little hook shot, and he had a nice little jumper as well. Nice little sweet touch with the left hand.
And him, I'm looking up now where he will end up on the all-time scoring list, and just with requisite numbers, just any type of blessing of good health, he would have been able to add to that the last few years and gotten into legitimate Hall of Fame conversation. I don't think he is now legitimately in Hall of Fame conversation. Do you?
Only simply because the championship part. That's the only reason why. But at one point in time, I remember the Grizzlies was undefeated when he scored 10 points more in the fourth quarter. And that happened a lot.
He is 69th, 18,578 points. That's so. Let's say let's go back to my 1,800 points or so. If he'd have just been out there for anybody the last years, add 1,500 to it and put him around 20,000. That's kind of the magic number. Not many people had an NBA career and scored 20,000 points.
Right, that 20,000 points is very hard.
And didn't get in the Hall of Fame. It's going to be the good debate on the championship front for Joe Johnson. He's at 20,405, but no titles. Is he a Hall of Famer? You just answered it.
Yeah.
If you can't jump at a yes, the answer is no.
Because he hasn't really – I haven't seen him just, like, take a team to the unbelievable marks.
Right.
Like Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson took an entire team to the NBA Finals, let alone beating the Lakers at home in Staples Center.
And this is the easy one. 20,894 points, but he has titles. Will Pau Gasol go to the Hall of Fame? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Pau goes.
Because he was a major factor in those championships.
So the last 3 years, Zach Randolph really, really denied adding to his point total and getting into serious consideration for the Hall of Fame. We'll take a break. When we come back, Gabe Kuhn will join us from Dallas. He's there covering his beloved Tigers, watching the games and enjoying the festivities. Dave Woloshin will join us about 5:30 when we do our picks for Friday football forecast picks brought to you by First National Bank and Trust. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Ho, ho, hold it. There's a brand new Chevy in Olive Branch with a big red bow and your name on it. If you're ready for a new Chevy, a Silverado, a Traverse, the all-new Blazer, ready for any new Chevy, most of All-Star's new 2019s are now at employee prices. You know what that means? You could save thousands paying what the employees pay. And most of the 2019s are included. All-Star has lots of 2019s, people. Lots more than any other Mid-South dealers. And All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch has the best testing grounds in the Mid-South. Back roads, highways, get a feel for it, and maybe that'll end up underneath your tree. Just go to allstarautogroup.com and see what I'm talking about. And remember, don't go to the Pike or Mount Moriah or Collierville or South Haven. For the Beat Any Dealer's Price Challenge and your best time ever, it's gotta be Olive Branch. So find new roads to All-Star Chevy and Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com today. It's time to bring in the old and drive home with the new.
Sometimes what you really want is just good old-fashioned comfort food. And if you find yourself downtown craving that familiar feel, make sure and visit Third and Court, Memphis' newest downtown dining destination. Third and Court feels just like the diners you remember from when you were a kid or like you see in old movies. Everything from the counter stools to the booths to the panoramic views of downtown was crafted specially to make you feel comfortable and content. And that's before you even crack open a menu and find all the delicious goodness that is old-school diner with a modern twist. If you want to visit the good old days, visit Third and Court.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brad Norsworthy.
It looks like a good party they're having down in Dallas, and part of the festivities, our very own Gabe Kuhn, former Tiger, really right there at the beginning of laying the cornerstone with Justin Fuente in the Tiger program and continuing on into the Mike Norvell years and being coached and knowing very well the new head coach of the Tigers, Ryan Silverfield. Gabe joins us now. He's in Dallas. We usually visit with him on Tuesday afternoon. We couldn't last week because of Christmas Eve, and we won't be able to this week because of New Year's Eve. But he joins us now. Good afternoon, Gabe. How are you?
Man, how are you guys back in Memphis?
Good. Has the party
feeling good?
Has the party
feeling
started
good down here? And oh, of course it has. Of course it has. It's about 65 down here. It's feeling good. You know, all the Memphis folks are down here in, you know, shorts and a T-shirt. It's great.
Gabe, so many different motivations around a bowl game, but I said this yesterday for the Tigers. If it's a defeat, and I'm not trying to build in the ready-made excuse, but still a tremendous year. But if it's a win, Ryan Silverfield start 1-0, the momentum it would carry into next year, recruiting, fundraising, everything, and into the first poll next year. That AP poll next year, I mean, I don't see any way the Tigers could be left out starting next year in the top 20 with going 13-1 and beating Penn State. So there's a lot on the line tomorrow with this game that will have ramifications into the future.
Oh, gosh, yeah, and you have a lot of juniors. You look at DeMonte Cox, you look at, you know, Brady White. Obviously, there was some speculation yesterday. We don't know what to believe there yet, but you got a lot of juniors with a lot of game, you know, returning. And I think, you know, when you look at next year's American Athletic Conference, if Memphis is not at the top, I mean, who is? And, you know, in general, I think that Silverfield will sort of continue this. And regardless, and this is what I think a lot of people need to realize, regardless of the outcome of this game, that doesn't tell you the future of what the Ryan Silverfield era Memphis Tiger football will look like. It's one game. It's a bowl game. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances. But I think people need to understand, a win, of course, means a lot. But at the same time, a loss is not as telling as people want to make it out to be.
What do you think X and O wise will be very critical for the Tigers tomorrow? I know in the offensive line, losing Scotty Deal and losing a good inline blocker like Joey Magnifico will be huge against that Penn State D front.
What they're going to have to do, and I think this sort of, offensively goes without saying, get it to the edge early and often and use your athletes out there on the edge. What Penn State does well is play well within their front seven. They are a terror to opposing O-lines. I mean, I watched them play against Iowa, who has, a couple draft picks along their offensive front, and they just absolutely terrorize teams. Yetur Gross-Matos, number 99, he's a defensive end. He has been absolutely everything for that team. He's a first-round pick. Shaka Tony's another DN. What you have to do if you're the Tigers is make sure you hold that Penn State defense or Penn State offense down and get the ball out to the edge to your playmakers early and often.
The fun that you're having, the wave of optimism and fun about the program. Gabe, you were there when really and truly you probably couldn't dream of these days.
Not much optimism.
Not much optimism, but from 2013 on, it is built and built and built. How much personal pride do you take in that, Gabe?
Good. I mean, just a great amount. I mean, Brett, between me and you, when I was committing to schools, I was not a very sought after recruit, and I was about to commit to Ball State. They were sending an offer. I ended up committing to Southern Illinois Carbondale. And, later that year, ended up getting Barry Odom, sitting down with him, Vance Weiss at the time, Coach Fuente, and they ended up offering me. And when I decommitted from Southern Illinois Carbondale, he said, you'll never play in front of more than 10,000 people. You'll never win more than 3 games. You'll never be in a bowl game if you go to Memphis. It's a dead end, especially for a guy like you. And honestly, things like that, I take the amount of pride I take in proving people like that wrong and helping the city and seeing where this program has been able to go. I mean, it's a huge amount of pride I take in it.
And you should, Gabe. And I can remember when it wasn't an active debate. I'm not going to say it kept us captivated with airtime for days and weeks. It sure didn't do that. But at times it would pop up, especially at the end of even at the end of Tommy West, it was bad, and into the 2 years for Larry Porter, it was really, really bad. But people were talking about maybe downsizing football and just throwing all in on basketball. And I would always say, not no, but you know what? No. Put the resources in. Keep hiring and firing coaches till you get it right. Do not ever do that. And smartly, it was not seriously really ever considered. And now, with a lot of hard work, started with you and Justin Fuente and continuing with Mike Norvell and Ryan Silverfield, you have this, and it shows. You mentioned the preseason for AAC next year. I really think, Gabe, over the next, I don't know how many years, 10. I mean, let's just grab a 10-year number. I think it will be UCF and Memphis annually battling for that spot in the college football premier games, premier bowl games.
And to think about what Memphis is as a city, you don't have a pro football team. There's a lot of room to grow. I'm glad they didn't make that decision. But, you look back. At that time, it seemed like it made sense. It seems like, hey, throw it all down on basketball. Football is just not giving us anything of substance. Mm-hmm. But, you look back and you're just glad that they stuck through it. Tommy West, of course, giving his speech and sort of letting people know that you have to invest. You have to invest in a program for it to get better. And there's just so much groundwork that's been laid. And I do think, going forward, when you look at the Boise States of the world, the non-Power 5 that continually get the chance at those bowl games, it's got to be sustained. It's something where, if you're a Memphis Tiger football fan, you want to stay here because going lower is something that you can't do because it could be a free fall at times, given where you are in the college football landscape.
Yeah, and
so
I don't know how it's going to change. I do think we will expand at some point. I don't think it's sooner, though, but I think we will expand. So if we just stay in this current system, it feels like that spot for the non-Power 5, it feels like it'll be Memphis or UCF out of the AAC, and you'll always kind of have Boise out there.
Boise State, App State, whoever it may be after that. But, yeah, I mean, this is something we need to see year in, year out from this program. And it has the capability. Like I said, it's the only football in the city. And it's something that has the just, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions around the city, just the chance to grow exponentially, from where it was. I mean, it already has, honestly. So I just think that fan base is going to continue to grow and it'll thrive.
Gabe, since he's been named head coach, I'm not asking you at all to violate any privacy or personal friendship, but have you been able to visit with Coach Silverfield since he's been named permanent head coach?
Just text back and forth every now and then, just, congratulating him. He's just, the thing about him, he's a humble guy. He's very busy right now. I haven't got to sit down with him. Hopefully, eventually after the bowl game, when they get to get, settled down, I could, go grab a beer with him, whatever it may be. But haven't got to talk to him too much. But from what I have gotten to, I have gathered that he is a busy man at this moment.
Yeah, and then recruiting, and it never ends for him. Then recruiting, you get home from the bowl game and you barely get to get settled in, and recruiting, the second round of recruiting starts, and then you start having to get ready for him to entertain a lot of people for pro days and on-campus visits from NFL, and then spring's here, and then the summer booster club circuit begins, and then you're right back around to media days, and it all starts over, doesn't it?
Yep, exactly. About two or 3 weeks in there, maybe he'll get. Hopefully he'll get. I mean, for his sake, he go crazy working year round like that. But that's what these college coaches do. I mean, got to put hats off to him. It is a around the clock, 24/7, 365 job.
And they are very well compensated, but they do put the work in. It's not sometimes as glamorous as most would think, but I do think what really motivates most of them, the common denominator, is that battle, that grind, and that happy locker room. To get to the happiest of all locker rooms tomorrow, what I think would be the biggest win in Tigers football history if they were able to defeat Penn State tomorrow. And Bruce Marshall from the goal sheet picked the Tigers to win straight up 33-31. I think it will be the playmakers have to make plays. And Gabe, I said it to Bruce Marshall, I'll say it to you. I think of running backs and wide receivers, the Tigers have more speed than Penn State.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And that's what I had this conversation with you, Drew, with Dave about, who would you rather see, an Alabama or a Penn State? And there's a lot of people saying, I'd rather see Bama, and they're giving State, what they look like. But this Penn State team, they have a really good defense. They have a really good front seven. Offensively, I think based on stats, look at it, and it's not very, Brett, it's not very colorful. They don't have much going offensively. So I think the Tigers have a chance to at least, play and win a somewhat ugly game in their fashion, because they're used to running up the score. They're not going to be able to score, the amount of points that they're used to. But, I think they can score on that Penn State team, and, I want to see how the defense holds up. If they can get the playmakers involved early and often, I think they have a good shot at this thing.
I'm with you. For the Tigers to win the game, and I'm going to do my prediction later when we get to our football picks at 5:30. For the Tigers to win the game, I think it has to look a little bit like it did somewhere between opening day 15-10 and closing day 29-24 against Cincinnati.
I agree.
I think something in the 21-17, 20-14 range. The higher you go in that many more at bats that you would have to successfully get through that Penn State defense, I think would make it tougher.
Absolutely, and just holding down that Penn State offense, which has shown that it's not all that explosive and not all that crazy. So I think the Tigers, while they're not going to be able to score, I think it will. The game will hang around. I think it'll stay close up until the end, and whoever makes that play Whoever makes that one more play will come out on top.
How would you like to be the young guy having to step in there and play for Scotty Deal tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good. I would love the opportunity, but I'll tell you what, I'd be shaking him up. I would be a scary one.
I got news.
Not scared. I mean, it would be a nervous one. The butterflies.
The good kind of
be
scared. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you still got it.
Yeah, you still got it. I got news for him. He's not going to need the early wake up call in the morning. He'll be up and ready.
Yep. He'll be if he gets any sleep.
Now the Joey Magnifico absence will not be as highlighted in the receiving game. Very, very adequate backup tight ends receiving, but I do think they will miss him as an inline blocker and coming in motion blocker.
See, and you look at this, and I think the guy they have backing him up, Cameron Wilson, is one of the more willing and able blockers I've ever seen at the tight end position at the University of Memphis. But you do miss a guy that has played a whole bunch of football, a guy that can catch passes, that has shown his ability, year in, year out, game in, game out. So you're definitely going to miss him. But I think, as far as the blocking goes, you're just going to have to rely on him and expect him to sort of sit in there because he's a guy that 6'7", 240 who can sit in there and can block people. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But definitely the experience factor of missing Joey is going to be tough for the Tigers.
I would think the game would start with a whole lot of Patrick Taylor and a whole lot of running the ball.
See, you know what I think? I think we see a lot of edge work to start the game. A lot of read, a lot of read option, a lot of
to use that speed.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna try to get it out to the edge and then try to break out some Patrick Taylor, some Kenny Gainwell, and see what they can do in between the tackles. But they know how tall of a task that is, especially down a few guys. I expect them to try to get out to the edge early and often tomorrow.
Gabe, I was very surprised in that I picked Temple to at least cover the point spread. Boy, they got blasted by North Carolina.
I think I was the only person who picked North Carolina. I told, I produced middays, and I told Greg and Eli, I said, this is the easiest pick on the board.
Wow.
UNC -5, go ahead and get after it. They didn't trust me.
Drew and
didn't trust me.
Drew and I both had Temple. Dave did have North Carolina. He thought the first half at Temple was more of the Tigers not playing well than Temple playing well.
Absolutely. One thing about, and I think it has to do with the bowl tie-ins, the American Athletic Conference really, really every bowl season since its inception seems to just struggle. It really does. I mean, you look at the Boca Raton Bowl this year, what SMU did after being an undefeated, possible.
They didn't even show.
New Year's. Yeah, I mean, it's the American Athletic Conference doesn't seem to have the bowl tie-ins that get a lot of players hyped up to go play the game in Birmingham or Boca Raton or what have you. But it's definitely interesting.
On the Gabe Kuhn happy meter tomorrow, as the clock would be ticking down for a Tiger win, it would be pretty maxed out, wouldn't it?
Oh, my God. I'll be jumping up and down. I'll be at the bars right after that. I'll be hanging out with the old buddies.
Now,
you got to know that one.
Now, remember, they can make it faster than you can drink it.
Yeah. I'll remember that. I'll keep that in mind.
Gabe,
I'll keep that one in mind.
Gabe, you have fun. I know you are, and truly, you were there to help start this, to establish this, and I know you're taking a lot of fun and a lot of pride in it. And we'll see you when you get back here. I'll see you Monday. I can't wait to hear all the stories that you can tell on the air and off.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Absolutely, Brett. Thanks for having me, man.
Have fun, big guy. I really appreciate you.
Talk to you.
Thank you very much. Gabe Kuhn with the Tigers, with his beloved Tigers down in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl. And all of us are really ready for tomorrow on the primetime biggest stage ever for Tigers football. That is unarguable. There's never been this type of attention.
A very historical season.
Very. And tomorrow is the capper. And with that win, to get to 13 wins, I think only, the two teams that are already 13-0 being Ohio State, three teams, Ohio State, Clemson, and LSU, they're already 13-0.
Right.
One of them will be 15-1. One could be 14-1. That could be LSU. But there will be, at the end of the year, if the Tigers win tomorrow, there will only be 2 or 3 teams at the end of the college football season with more wins. It'd be a couple with 13. and that's what the Tigers. Even at 12, there aren't going to be many teams
It's
with more.
still great. Like, just what the Tigers have done this season, I've never seen it.
And really is captivated around town and everybody with their eye on it tomorrow. 11 o'clock kickoff in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic at Jerry's World. What a setting to play Penn State. And then when we come back, we round out hour 2 at 5 o'clock. We'll talk NBA with Andy Schiffman. We think we're going to visit with Phil Stukenborg for a bit. Phil is now, as everybody knows, is men's basketball media relations director, but forever was the beat writer and covered a lot of bad days for Memphis Tigers football. Now here's the biggest one ever. He's got to be at basketball tomorrow instead of the game. I think we're going to catch up with Phil and get his thoughts because I know how proud he is of the University of Memphis and what he watched all those years. And if he ever could have dreamed that someday the Tigers would be playing Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. We got a lot left to do before this day ends. We hit this break now. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Happy holidays to all of our great Sports 56 listeners. We appreciate all of your support throughout 2019 and look forward to a great 2020.
Give the gift of fun with Premier Lanes Entertainment Center. Located next door to Malco Oxford Commons Cinema, the area's largest family fun center features bowling, Action Alley Arcade, birthday parties, events, and more. Book your fun today at premierlanes.com.
The after Christmas sales happening now at Family Leisure. Up to half off display models, closeouts, even new items. All 2019 spas have to go to make room for incoming inventory. Thousands off all in-stock spas. Game table starting at just $99. Theater seating and massage chairs are priced to move. You're already thinking about summer, so buy what you want now. The after Christmas sale is going on now at Family Leisure. I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Thanks, Carl. Pretty good sports weekend if you're here in Memphis. You do have the Tiger basketball game you could go to tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 tip at FedEx Forum against the Privateers of New Orleans, and then on Sunday night against Charlotte for the Memphis Grizzlies. So games both Saturday and Sunday if you wanted to get away from the football, but you don't really want to do that, do you? And tomorrow afternoon at FedEx Forum, the Tiger game will be on in the lobby and concourse areas and on all the ribbon boards, as I'm told, in the corners. So you can keep an eye on that. I'll bet during breaks they might even go to it on the Jumbotron with some audio to follow in the arena tomorrow when the Tigers are playing basketball against New Orleans. Again today at his media availability, Penny Hardaway was once again asked about, and it won't go away, that Dick Vitale mostly led. Is James Wiseman really considering a return to the team? And Penny Hardaway's answer was stay tuned.
That was his answer?
That is not Jason Munns joins us on Wednesday from Commercial Appeal. He tweeted out in midst of speculation. Penny Hardaway was asked about during the pre-Jackson State meet availability about James Wiseman, and someone asked, any chance you can convince him to change his mind? And Coach Penny Hardaway responded, "Stay tuned."
Come on, I don't play with my emotions. Now I'm a diehard Tiger fan.
That's not no. And Penny Hardaway went on and said, that's always me, just, joking or whatever. But no, we have the team we have right now.
And that's what I like about Penny. He understands a lot of distractions going on, but he's trying to focus on what he have now and build what he have.
And Dick Vitale is the one that has kept fanning it, and I just can't imagine it really playing out. I don't know really what his motivation would be, but I guess we will really know on January 12th because he couldn't play. Could he play? He could play that night.
Yeah, that was the night he was supposed to return.
That is,
and that's conference play, right? That's
a conference game on the road against South Florida, and I guess that would finally extinguish it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. So I guess, like Penny said, stay tuned.
Well, we will. 67129 if you'd like to text in on the First Bank text line, 360-8255 on the First Bank phone line. I feel like we've given a little bit of short shrift today to the NFL on Sunday. Most of the playoff teams decided still some jockeying, some seeding positioning for some, but most of the teams are named. The NFL does a great job with this every year, and they even sent it out this week with all the speculation out of their media PR shop on Park Avenue of playoff possibilities, trying to build into the audience that your team's really not out of it. Some of it is about as remote as James Wiseman returning, to be honest with you, but there still are some things to be decided in both the AFC and the NFC. We know at the top of the AFC it will be Baltimore and New England second, Kansas City third, Houston fourth, Buffalo fifth right now, and still be decided that last wild card, the Titans or the Steelers.
Let's roll Steelers.
You are a Steeler fan. You were mad at me back in August when we did NFL predictions.
Right.
Do you remember my prediction for the Steelers?
Yeah, but we didn't expect all these injuries to go on like they did.
Mike Tomlin's done one of the great jobs ever turned in.
Yes.
To do it with third and fourth string quarterbacks.
Coach of the year in my eyes.
It's going to be hard if he squeezes into the playoffs, maybe a few more votes. But if
if we get that wild card win,
maybe.
Then, okay, yeah, I understand.
But that job turned in San Francisco. The job turned in New Orleans with going 5-0 without Drew Brees, with Teddy Bridgewater. In the NFC, San Francisco looks to be, they are right now the 1 seed, Green Bay 2, New Orleans 3. That could change a little bit. The 4th seed will either be Philadelphia or Dallas, and we know the other two, the 2 wild cards, will be Seattle or Minnesota. Both of those teams will have to travel on wild card weekend. Next weekend, start the NFL playoffs. We also know what's going to happen on Monday around the NFL. The axe will fall. It will be a lot of firings Monday. It will not be in Atlanta, where today their general manager announced that Dan Quinn would be back next year. That team hadn't been the same since they were up 28-3 over New England in the Super Bowl down in Houston, but they're going to stay with him to start another year. I think he would be on notice in September of next year not to get off to a slow start. With Matt Ryan and with Julio Jones, you ought to be more competitive than the Falcons have been with their lack of consistency being more than anything else. Julio Jones is going to Canton. He's going to the Hall of Fame someday. You're talking about wasting a player. It looks like a lot of his career so far has been largely wasted on not great teams. His performance in that Super Bowl, if the Falcons had won, it would have been as glorified and glamorized as any Super Bowl Sunday wide receiver performance this side of Lynn Swann with what he did against Dallas down in Miami a long time ago. Some of the catches made that day still are hard to believe, but you blow a 28-3 lead, Tom Brady gets another one, you kind of go to the dustbin of history, and that's unfortunate for Julio Jones. I just wish he could finally play on a Super Bowl winning team, and I don't think even with Dan Quinn back next year, the Falcons are really are really that. So a real good NFL Sunday, 8 noon games, 7 in the 3 o'clock window, and the Sunday night game to wrap up the regular season for the 100th year of the NFL. When we come back, we start the third and final hour of this week. We visit with Andy Schiffman. We talk NBA. That's next on Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about buying a newer used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory savings up to $13,000 and interest rates low as 0%. Immediate financing with next to nothing down and a $6 million used car inventory. Specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000 and monthly payments under $200. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just a way of doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolfchase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Third and final hour of this week starts now. Andy Schiffman will join us and talk NBA after I tell you about DeSoto Auto Sales, sponsor of this hour, where they have very high standards down at DeSoto Auto Sale on Goodman Road in DeSoto County. All the cars test-driven, checked out from head to toe with an unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Check them out online at DeSotoAutoSales.com or call them at 662-890-7184. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid back, down home atmosphere. No high pressure sales, but they make you this promise. They want you to have the ultimate car experience. And what does that mean? It means that they care about your time. They know we're living in a world today that time matters. You walk in, within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork done, and you're gone at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. We visit with Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports. We talk NBA with him each and every Friday. Last Friday of the calendar year, Andy Schiffman, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great. And last night, the Grizzlies with the win and Portland with the loss. Andy, the Grizzlies are only 2 games out of the 8th seed. Should they be in go-for-it mode?
I think it's too early to say. I mean, you're not even, we're still over a month away from the trade deadline. There's going to be a lot of roster changes. I don't necessarily think they're at the point now where they're targeting the playoffs. Obviously, they're competing with a team like San Antonio, and San Antonio's been struggling. They've been underperforming this year. They're 12-18. And you saw what happened when they came to Memphis on Monday night. So I think they should just continue to develop their young players as opposed to saying, let's make a big-time trade or a big-time roster adjustment and just be all in for the playoffs at this point. Now, if things start to heat up and all of a sudden they're 5 or 6 games out come March, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, I think stay the course is probably a good plan. And I give the Grizzlies' new front office really, I think far and wide everybody does, and it's not just me, really high marks on everything they've touched from the new regime with the total reboot with the team. And this right now, I don't know if it was expected. I think they are ahead of pace for the year.
Well, I agree. And I think a lot of Memphis fans are understanding what the front office has tried to do, and they are patient. And then I think the biggest thing that if I'm a Grizzlies fan that excites me moving forward is all of the assets that you've acquired along with a young core. They're going to be a very attractive trade partner because they're going to have some tradable pieces, but they can really move up and do some damage and get some hidden gems in the draft with all of these future draft picks they've accumulated.
You know, Andy, what kind of year is it out there for the draft? Is it top heavy? Can you get a player in the 20s like a Brandon Clark again?
You never know, but generally speaking, Stats, I would say this coming draft is relatively weak. You get past the James Wisemans, the Anthony Edwards of the world, the LaMelo Ball, really probably past the first 4 or 5, there's a significant drop-off. And I think one way that at least I and a lot of people in the business look at the draft is in tiers. And so this past year, you had Ja Morant, you had Zion. They were really that first elite level tier. Then you move into that second tier, and it becomes beauty. It becomes a thing about, beauty in the eye is in the eye of the beholder. You might have one team that values what one player might bring over others, and another team might value what a different player brings. And the order of, let's say, picks 4 through 14 might vary between who you're talking to on draft night, but generally speaking, that group of 10 players will remain the same. So look, you can always get value in the 20s. I think late teens to late 20s in the draft, you will continue to have a lot of players that will become solid, long-term NBA players. They may never become superstars, but it's the meat and potatoes of the draft. I love representing players in that range. But again, there's a lot of basketball left to be played, right? So you will see players emerge in conference tournaments and in the NCAA tournament that will be draftable players in the first round that might not even be on anybody's board right now. And you will see highly rated players right now fall out of the first round. It happens every single year. But generally speaking, relatively speaking, I'll say this draft is weaker than past drafts.
What motivates, what drives Brandon Clark? Y'all represent him at Priority Sports. What drives him? Is it to show him you had it wrong, or if he had been the first pick, would it still be the same kind of makeup personality-wise of Brandon Clark?
Well, of course, you got to take what I say with a grain of salt because I am biased because I love the guy.
Sure.
But you said it. I mean, it's his character, and I think what a lot of people don't realize, it's his past. I mean, this is a kid that was not highly rated coming out of high school, coming out of college. He started at San Jose State, transferred to Gonzaga, and really even prior to his stint at Gonzaga, he wasn't setting the world on fire, and he really wasn't highly rated to think this is going to be a kid that's going to go in the first round of the NBA draft. I think today's NBA really needs a guy like Brandon. It really fits his skill set in terms of his athleticism and his work ethic. And obviously being a great young man and a high character individual always helps, especially in a place like Memphis where you're surrounded by those guys every single year. And now you add the fact that, you can defend and you give your effort on the defensive end. You can switch and you can guard multiple positions, and you're a heck of a three-point shooter. And in Gonzaga, his primary role was a rim runner, run the floor, catching lobs from their team and Perkins and other guys on the floor. And it really wasn't a situation where they needed Brandon to step out and show he can shoot threes, and he bought into that. And again, that's what really elevated him from terms of athleticism. That's what NBA people fell in love with right off the bat. Obviously, it helps playing on a good team like Gonzaga, but now he's worked so hard in his three ball because we've drilled that into his head in terms of this is something you're going to have to show people at the next level. We worked on that during the pre-draft process in Chicago, every single day with our staff. And when it was time to unveil him to NBA people, teams could really see, hey, you know what, this kid can actually shoot the ball. And now you've got all the tools. He's an above average passer for a big man. And I'll call him a big man because he plays mostly with 4. So he really has the total package, and again, in what fits the Grizzlies. He might not ever be a guy to kind of isolate and break a guy down with his dribble, but just, again, the way the Grizzlies play and surrounded by a player like Ja and Jaren, if they can add a few more shooters around this team, I think you'll really continue to see his game develop and take off. And I was actually at the game there tonight with his family, and I firmly believe this. He will be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say Brandon will be Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of good rookies out there, but I think at the end of the day, if you look at players picked outside the lottery, he's going to be the standalone guy that's going to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. And I think he'll absolutely, be in the mix for potentially being a top 3 finisher when it's all said and done.
He's had some of the biggest dunks of the year. Are y'all working on trying to get him in the slam dunk contest?
It's something we talked about, Stats, but again, like at the end of the day, a player like Brandon, he has to want to do it. And there's always a concern. This is something that Brandon and I have talked about without getting too deep into details. What a lot of fans don't realize, a guy like Brandon was playing well into the NCAA tournament last spring. Then he goes to Chicago with our staff to train for the draft, which is a boot camp-like mentality. It's very grueling every single day. Then you're flying around the country, working out for multiple NBA teams, going through the process of the NBA Combine. Even though Brandon didn't play, he still went through the testing, shooting, everything that goes into that process, team interviews, etc. It's very grueling. Then you go straight to Summer League. Then you go straight to Memphis and start preparing for training camp in September right after Labor Day. Then you hit training camp. So it's a very, very long process. And what I would advise is to say, you know what, like, unless you really want to go and participate in the dunk contest, enjoy that time off. Now, with that being said, realistically, he probably won't have much time off because he'll be playing the rookie-sophomore game.
Yeah.
So
Futures
for a rookie
game.
like that, I would probably be against having him go out there on Friday night, play in the Futures game, and then turn around and go play in the All-Star game.
It's a lot of work.
It is. And sometimes a lot of players don't want to go sit there and do that back to back.
I can't blame
But
him,
again,
Andy.
down the road, it's something he definitely would be a candidate for because of his athleticism and the fact that, I think we got to get Brandon to become a little bit more of a creative dunker. Maybe, I'll have to teach him stuff because, I'm obviously very good at that. But I think down the road, I think you should definitely keep your eyes open for it.
For sure. And last night, it wasn't a dunk play. And, the dunks make all the highlight reels. There was a play late in the game. I won't say the lead was getting wobbly, but with how the Grizzlies have had some down the stretch tailspins, you could feel maybe, possibly, it might be on the way. And it was a bad shot taken. It wasn't by Brandon Clark. It was a bad shot taken by the Grizzlies. The ball, as Pete Pranica described it on the telecast, ping-ponging around. And who was at the bottom of the pile on the floor getting the tip back out to Jaren? It was BC down at the bottom of the pile.
Brandon doesn't care if you're down by 40 or up by 40. He's going to play hard every single possession. And that's something that any coach, regardless of where you're coaching basketball at any level, you're going to love. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're the best player on the court. That doesn't mean you're scoring the most points. But if I'm a coach, I'm always going to find an opportunity for a player that gives his all in every single possession like Brandon does.
And he does. Where do you think, if we had everybody's doing the mock redrafts, where do you think he'd be drafted if we had the draft now?
Absolutely a top 10 pick.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think back from last summer. Look, you had obviously Zion in any draft, even if he's injured, not playing yet, he's going number 1. And I think Zion and Ja were consensus 1 and 2. I mean, I would go so far as to put Brandon, for me personally, ahead of Kobe White, ahead of Darius Garland, potentially even ahead of DeAndre Hunter, and then make him a top 4, 5, 6 pick.
Yeah.
And R.J. Barrett, he's had some moments, but I just think Brandon's value
more impactful
is more impactful with the team that drafted him. And a guy like Kobe White, he's up in Chicago, so I get to see him quite a bit playing with the Bulls. He's a good player, but he's got some development to do. And I just don't think his impact on the Bulls is as great as Brandon's impact is on the Grizzlies. And I was in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, getting to watch Darius Garland. I've seen him before. Same thing with DeAndre Hunter and the Hawks. again, the fit is what I love the most about Brandon and the Grizzlies. Now, if Brandon wasn't with the Grizzlies, maybe this question for me wouldn't be so conclusive, but I would go so far as to peg him as a top 5 pick.
We talked about the bottom of the Western Conference, and the Grizzlies only 2 out from that 8th seed at the top. The Lakers with the loss on Christmas Day, LeBron aggravating the injury. It looks like in that building it will be quite a battle all year between the Clippers and the Lakers, and Denver's in there, Houston not far behind, and even Dallas with Luka Doncic. I don't think they're in prime spot for the 1 seed, but the battle for the 1 and the 2 in the West will be a pitched battle, with a lot of it primarily being at Staples Center.
Absolutely. You can't forget about Utah either. I think they've won 7 of their last 9. They just made the trade where they acquired Jordan Clarkson. They actually just signed one of our clients, Ray John Tucker, who was an outstanding player in the G League with Milwaukee's G League team. So they're making some moves, and I think if they continue to have success, I would actually look for them to continue to be active on the trade market as we get closer to the deadline of February 6th. I think all these teams that are right on the cusp of competing for a Western Conference Finals spot will at least look to be very active in the trade deadline. But yeah, the Clippers, they're fun to watch. I tend to like the Clippers more than the Lakers. That's just me. I know the Lakers have had a better start. They have a better record. For a variety of reasons, I just like the Clippers. I really like the way they're coached.
I love Doc
Rivers. Their cohesiveness. I think if you get Kawhi continuing to play more and remain healthy, Paul George is a stud of a player. I just like them long term over the Lakers this season.
Luka Doncic for MVP, is that valid? Is that viable?
100%. And it has nothing to do with Luka is playing just as well as he was last year. Well, better, let's say, but the team is having so much success. And I think early on, a lot of fans in the NBA and a lot of people around the sport looked at Dallas and saw their hot start, and you didn't think they'd sustain it. But this kid, and I say kid in the literal sense, has put this team on his back, and they absolutely will be in the running, I believe, for Western Conference Finals, if not even more. And that's all because of Luka. And now he's just coming into his own and, dropping triple doubles every other night, it seems, defending the other team's best players. The Mavericks are a deep team, and so they're able to sustain some success even without Luka. I mean, they lost the other night against Toronto, but they won in Philadelphia without Luka. They beat the Spurs the other night, last night rather. So yes, absolutely, I think he could get MVP this year.
Andy, it's going to be a lot of fun talking the NBA and college basketball with you and the prospects after the new year. Happy New Year to you and yours. I hope you've enjoyed this Hanukkah season and with your family and friends. And I can't wait to talk basketball with you on Fridays when we get into 2020. Thank you very much, Andy.
Looking forward to it. Happy New Year as well.
Thank you, Andy. Andy Schiffman talking NBA with us every Friday afternoon. And it's been a lot of fun. Look forward to the new year doing that more with him. Very special guest. For years, the beat writer of the University of Memphis Tigers football team. He was out there for a lot of long days and long nights. And now with the University of Memphis handling men's basketball media relations, Phil Stukenborg joins us. For a year, Phil, you were with the Commercial Appeal. How long were you the Tigers beat writer for football?
Well, I like to tell people it was from Isaac Bruce to Anthony Miller, if you can figure that out.
That would be 92 to 2015, if I'm right. Is that right?
Somewhere in that range, 93. Yeah.
Phil, when I say this, I don't mean it at all to demean or short sell what the Tigers have accomplished, but there had to be a lot of days where you out there thinking seriously that someday, some way, the Tigers in a Cotton Bowl against Penn State?
No, you couldn't have thought that, but at the time I thought it was going to get into a major conference before you could, just be slotted into a bowl. But they made a great decision a few years back to really commit to football.
Yes, and
brought in Justin Fuente, who turned the program, and then obviously Mike Norvell came in and kept it going. I mean, those were such key moves. And they followed such a good formula in finding a up-and-coming, coordinator from a major program.
Phil, I'm with you. I wouldn't disagree at all about that. But you and I, we both know there were a lot of really good men and a really, really good football coaches that had been head coach of the University of Memphis Tigers. Richard Williamson was a good coach, and of course we know what Rex Dockery was probably on his way to doing. Charlie Bailey was a good coach. Chuck Stobart was a good coach. Tommy West was a good coach, but it eventually would grind them up, and they couldn't have the sustainability that Justin Fuente and Mike Norvell, and we hope into Ryan Silverfield, that they've been able to have. So a lack of good coaches was not the problem for a long time. It was just able to have any consistency, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's that too. But also think of this, Brett. When you had some really good programs under Richard Williamson that went 7-4 and 8-3, and there was not a bowl opportunity then.
Exactly.
Back in the 70s. So you didn't have as many bowls as you do today. So they would have had some success there. And you may have had some teams that would have enjoyed a postseason that didn't get that opportunity. But yeah, there were some great coaches, and you could see what happened to them when they left. They made some of these coaches like hooked on and became, either coordinators or coaches elsewhere as assistants.
Yeah, you're right. There were really good Richard Williamson teams and Chuck Stobart teams that now would go to a pretty darn good bowl, but couldn't go to any then. So the season ends, and kind of right here with SEC around us, they're going off to those bowl games and getting all that attention. It kind of became kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch these last few years, and to see what happened this year down on Beale Street on College Game Day.
Yeah.
That was what a win that was, not only for the program but for the city and for its self-image.
Phil, that day,
self-consciousness.
That day I was on the road with Ole Miss. We had a late game, so I got up on Saturday morning, and like everybody in the college football world, we turn on Game Day, and as soon as it came on hot from Memphis, I just went, holy, you know what? Look at Memphis. Yeah. You are really showing out and showing out in fine style. That was a gigantic win. And then the game that night wasn't too bad.
Now to bring in, as everyone pointed out that night, to bring in almost 60,000, and it was pretty much all Memphis fans. To have 90% of it in the house be yours. That's something you've never seen, and it was amazing to watch it kind of unfold.
What was the point in covering the Tigers under Justin Fuente, maybe even leading in to Anthony Miller and Mike Norvell years, where you thought, yeah, they've got a chance, they can make this work?
It's just the way he ran practices, the way he ran the program, his ability to recruit, his ability to find talent. Heck, I remember being on the sidelines at a practice, and Tony Pollard was a redshirt. He wasn't playing; he was being redshirted, and he just said, "Look at this guy right here." He goes, "Big time." He goes, and he had worked hard to get him to come to Memphis, and he just said he knew this guy was going to end up being a great player. I just think that was his calling card. Plus, he hired a great staff. Look at what some of these guys did, and where they've gone. So. And where he'd been. I mean, he just someone with the utmost confidence when you ran into him, unlike some that had been there before. So he just took control of the program from day one. That's kind of what struck me.
Tomorrow, I know you will be very busy with men's basketball. We've reminded people all week, it's very rare in both of our lives that men's basketball at the University of Memphis, kind of a little bit of a backseat. But when you play Penn State in the Cotton Bowl, a little bit of a backseat tomorrow. But I know at FedEx Forum, the Cotton Bowl will be on in the concourse level, in the lobby area, and on the ribbon boards, right?
It'll be like in the video boards in the four corners of the arena. They'll be on, no sound, but at least you'll be able to catch the game live.
Will you be able to go to sound maybe during your break, during a break in action?
I don't think that's the plan. I just think it would be. It might be kind of risky.
Yeah.
I was at a game a few years ago. The Grizzlies were playing the Lakers, and on the board they had Memphis making a deep run in the NCAA tournament, and they were playing A&M, I believe. And big moment, a couple of free throws hit, and the place goes crazy. And Phil Jackson looks up and says, "What in the world is going on here?"
Right, I remember that.
So you don't want a repeat of that. So anyway, it'll be available for those who are at the game.
And the power of good quarterback play, starting with Paxton Lynch into Riley Ferguson, and now with Brady White. This modern college football, you can't go out there trying to hide your quarterback. He's got to be a magic maker, doesn't he?
He does, and look, a lot's been made of the transfers who have taken their programs to the college football playoffs, and you've got another one in Brady White who's taken this program where it's never been before. So there's some good quarterbacks out there, and they're not waiting to find a place to play.
And Phil, this wave of optimism and momentum for the university, you mentioned game day and the wins, and it can only continue into the spring. This Tiger basketball team, I think it's got a real chance, even without James Wiseman and the injury to Quinones, but it's still got a great chance to be right there at or near the top at the end of the year.
It's remarkable. You're starting to see the personality of the team kind of unfold or show itself before you. That look at some of the games they've come back from. They've got this kind of. It's a group that kind of has a refuse to lose mentality, and that's kind of fun to see. I would think for Coach Hardaway. Around the university and around town, you can really feel it, can't you? You can feel the pride in football and in basketball, can't you? You can, and it's kind of fun to be a part of that, just to see, again, just the impact it has on the city too. Do you remember maybe a day, or it was maybe a Tuesday night crowd in 4,500 or so, one of those games that will be kind of the opposite of tomorrow? It was some of those low points that you had to cover. Maybe even the Gino Guidugli play late in the Cincinnati game. I thought there's only one way Gino Guidugli could get topped if they went down and ruined that day in the AAC championship game. Was there one that stood out, maybe with nobody there, and it just feeling hopeless? There was a game at Louisville, probably Larry Porter's first or second year, where there was just no fight, and it was a halftime score of about 45 to nothing, and that was about as low as I've seen it. So to see it come back from that is quite remarkable. And it looks like it is not going away. There's a lot of people talking about next year could really be better than this year, and that would be the first full year for Ryan Silverfield. Yeah, and if he can retain a lot of these players who have the ability to come back, and kind of with the obviously people respect him too. It could carry on. It could carry on, and why not promote from within when you've got someone who's been around a lot of success? Exactly. And Phil, I say this mostly in jest. You live long enough, you see it all. And tomorrow morning at 11:00, the Tigers against Penn State. That'd be cold chill moment, won't it? It will. I'll definitely record and preserve that. You'll be plenty busy with Coach Hardaway's Tiger teams. He made a little bit of, I don't know if he made news today, but the James Wiseman kind of lingering story, that Dick Vitale's kind of fan, that's got to go away soon, doesn't it? I would think it'll play itself out. It'll be, again, tomorrow will be fun to see Lester Quinones back, for the first time 100%? Since the Ole Miss game. I would think really close. Really close. And they had the time to kind of to put it up and get it really well, and then he'll start back tomorrow against UNO, and then on Monday against Tulane. A lot of New Orleans type games over the next few days for the men's Tiger basketball teams. And Phil, for all those years that you covering the Tigers, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry you can't be in Dallas tomorrow, but I'm glad you're with the university, and I was glad we could catch up today because you've always done it the right way, and I really appreciate you. Hey, thanks so much, Brett. Thank you very much. Phil Stukenborg, long time with the Commercial Appeal, now running men's basketball media relations for the University of Memphis. And he was there on a lot of days, like a lot of fans, that really tomorrow, the culmination of it. And I know a lot of them will be there, but those that can't be there, watching at home and listening to the pregame with Dave and then into that game action tomorrow, I know a lot of people with a lot of pride. I went to my first Tigers football game fall of 1970. My uncle was a University of Memphis graduate and a season ticket holder. He loved football more than basketball. And we would go to the games, and we would go to West Texas and North Texas and East Texas, and sometimes Tulsa would come in. Ole Miss, of course, usually in the opening night. But
going to those games with him in the 70s and then later on, I didn't know that tomorrow could happen. I was not one that thought it was hopeless, though. I just thought it would be really hard to do it consistently, and now they have over 2 coaches and hopefully over 3 coaches with Ryan Silverfield in his debut tomorrow. What a way to debut. When we come back, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, will join us from Dallas, and we'll have our Friday afternoon First National Bank and Trust Friday football focus picks. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hurt. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Nationally ranked Navy and Kansas State will meet for the first time ever at this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and you'll want to be there as well. Plus, American Idol winner, country music star Scotty McCreery will perform at halftime. It's all happening December 31st at 2:45 in the afternoon. Get your tickets today by calling the AutoZone Liberty Bowl at 795-7700. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Here once again
are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
For the Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or 901-498-5763.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, they've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Nick Sutton, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763 or fnbtmemphis.com. That's fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I've had an account and been a friend my entire life.
It's that time to pick those games, and Dave joins us from Dallas, where he will call all the action tomorrow morning bright and early for the Tigers. Dave, how are you? You ready for these picks?
I'm ready for these picks. I know I already started off here with Pittsburgh and Eastern Michigan and North Carolina Temple 2-0. I think Wake Forest, though, is giving me problems here.
Yeah, Wake Forest giving both of us problems. And what about that performance by Temple? You nailed it. They were a one quarter, played pretty lucky, and the Tigers didn't that day in Philly. Boy.
I felt bad. I actually watched that in front of a couple of the people from the American Athletic Conference, and they were afraid to look at the screen after a while. Yeah, that was pretty one-sided. But you know what? Mac Brown is really a good story, isn't he? He has turned around that North Carolina program.
And you did get a win, as I did last night with Eastern Michigan. I almost got my straight-up win last night. It came undone for them, but you got a win there. That moved you to 7-5 with the Bowls. Drew's at 8-4. I'm at 6-6. You got the win earlier today for North Carolina, so that moves you to 8-5. Drew with the loss, he falls to 8-5, and I fall to 6-7. Look at you advancing your lead.
I am continually trying to, and Wake Forest can still win this game. Last I looked, they were down 6, but they were getting 4.5. So we shall see.
I hope they do. I hope they do at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I had Wake Forest. Drew had Michigan State. All right, let's get into it. The Texas Bowl tonight starts in just a few minutes, about 14 minutes. In fact, Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. A&M a 7.5-point favorite. I take Oklahoma State. Drew takes Oklahoma State. Who do you have, Dave?
I've got Oklahoma State as well. I'm not a believer in A&M. I don't think they got better as the year went on. And if you're going to give me 7.5, a state team that can score a little bit, I like that.
And that's a group lock. Group lock's been pretty good for us in the bowls. We got there yesterday afternoon, group lock with Louisiana Tech, if we're going to claim that over Miami. Miami didn't even show or try, and we also got there.
Did you see, by the way, they fired their OC today?
They fired him before the game yesterday. They should have sent him home with the performance that Dan Enos had in that game. Next game for us, the Holiday Bowl tonight. Iowa, 2.5-point favorite over USC. Do you take Pac-12 or do you take Big Ten?
I go Big Ten in this game. I'm only going to give away 2.5, so a field goal is a difference in the game, really. And I think Iowa's a solid team. They always are. I think they'll be a little too physical for USC tonight.
And Drew takes Iowa. He goes Big Ten as well. I'm going to go against y'all and try to make up some ground. Give me the Pac-12 and USC plus the 2.5. In fact, I have USC winning the game big, straight up, 35-10. The Cheez-It Bowl. Tell me everything you know about the Cheez-It Bowl, Dave.
I know that it's got a good flavor to it.
I don't know any more than that. Air Force, 3.5-point favorite. Give me the Falcons and the Air Force Academy, 31-17 for Air Force over Washington State. Your pick?
I'm with you. I like Air Force in this game. Washington State plays no defense, and if Air Force can just hold the ball and run, all they're giving away is 3.5. I like their chances.
Drew makes it a group lock. The big one, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, you will be calling the action. Penn State, 6.5-point favorites from the Big Ten over the Tigers, the hometown Tigers, 6.5-point underdog. Dave, your pick.
I am going with my heart in this one. And some of the keys that are critical here. Memphis must attack the perimeter.
Yep.
The one thing you cannot really do successfully is trying to run the ball up the middle or even attack up the middle against a team that only allows 2.6 yards per carry. Under 100 yards per game rushing. It is a tough chore to go against that defense. But you can pass on that team. And if Brady White gets enough time and they attack perimeter and deep, they have a chance of winning this football game. And they're getting 6.5, so I'm taking my Tigers.
Drew takes the Tigers as well, plus the 6.5. I hate to be this guy, I really do. My score prediction, I think Penn State wins the game 38-31, just over the point spread, just enough. It'll be a heartbreaker, but it really won't be. And if I'm right, I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm right, still the great season. We'll talk about that on Monday. Camping World Bowl.
I would like to make one little side bet with you on this one.
Okay.
If you're setting 38-31, that's an over of 69. I would love to bet lunch We can do another Ronnie Grizzani lunch. Give me the under.
You got it. What is
Okay.
what is the Vegas over and under?
I'm taking it by your 38-31 score.
No, I want to take whatever the point the Vegas is on the bet.
I don't know what it is. I was just basing that on your final score.
I want to see what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm feverishly looking now. Camping World Bowl opposite the Tigers with Notre Dame in that one at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. The Camping World Bowl, Notre Dame 3.5-point favorite over Iowa State. Give me Notre Dame. Give me Notre Dame big over Iowa State.
I'm with you. I think Notre Dame will absolutely control this game.
It's a group lock. Drew thinks the very same thing. How come I can't find the Tiger over and under? Here it is. I've got it now. Tigers and Penn State with the over and under at 60 and a half.
I got it at 60 and a half. So
60
I'm not
and a
going to
half.
give you that one. I'm not going to give you that one. You said it's 69. I was just going by what you
Just
said.
my score prediction, man. I'm gonna go with Vegas. I'm not Vegas. I'm not a gambling parlor. Drew takes Notre Dame. Your pick. Did you take Notre Dame, Dave?
Yeah, I did. So we got another group lock.
Another group lock. I can't make up any ground on all these group locks. The Peach Bowl, one of the two semifinal games. LSU 13.5-point favorite over Oklahoma. Bruce Marshall loves LSU. He has them by 17. I have them by 20. I have LSU winning 44-24 over Oklahoma. Drew has LSU minus the 13.5. Dave, your pick on the Peach Bowl.
Well, here is your chance to get something on me. I think LSU is going to win this game, but I don't believe that they're going to win by 13.5 points. I think they'll win by a touchdown. I love those points. I'll take Oklahoma with those points.
You love the points, but LSU to win the game and advance to the finals, right?
That is right. So I'm taking Oklahoma because you're giving me
pick.
13.5.
That's a good pick. The other semifinal game, the Fiesta Bowl out in Glendale, Arizona, outside of Phoenix. Clemson, a 1.5-point favorite over Ohio State. Give me the Buckeyes. I thought they've been the best team all year that I've seen on television. I haven't seen them in person. I thought they've been the best team all year. I have them winning 24-21, so I don't really need the 1.5, but I'll take it. Your pick?
You know what? We've been saying Ohio State is the most complete team all year long, and we sort of forgot about Etienne and Lawrence and the Brett Venable defense. And we also have a little question about a quarterback at Ohio State named Justin Fields, who's not 100%. And so I will sort of switch. I was leaning toward Ohio State, and I'm going to go with Clemson now.
You're taking Clemson, and so that Clemson to win the game? Yeah. They'd almost have to cover the 1.5. And Drew takes Clemson as well, laying the 1.5. You're right, Justin Fields. It sounds like that knee is really barking. On Monday, before we are back at 3 o'clock on Monday, we got to make the pick now. First Responder Bowl, the Battle of the Westerns, Western Kentucky, 3.5-point favorite over Western Michigan. Give me the Hilltoppers from Western Kentucky and lay the 3.5. Drew does the same thing. He takes Western Kentucky. Your pick, Dave?
Group lock.
Again. Okay.
Western Kentucky.
I can't catch up with you guys this way. Music City Bowl, about the time we come on the air on Monday. Mississippi State, a 4.5-point favorite over Louisville. Drew takes Mississippi State. Your pick, Dave?
I take Mississippi State as well. I'll give away the points.
I'm going to take the Cardinals of U of L and get the 4.5. I don't need them. They win 28-20 with Tommy Stevens starting at quarterback for Mississippi State in the Music City Bowl in Nashville. Last pick we're doing today, it's the Red Box Bowl. Boy, nothing says the holiday season in the history of college football in this 150th year like the Red Box Bowl. California, 7.5-point favorite over your home state Illini. Give me Cal. I saw them this year, a good team and a great linebacker. Lay the 7.5. Cal wins 38-13. Drew takes Illinois and Lovie Smith plus the 7.5. You're taking your home state Illini, aren't you?
You know my heart is with Illinois, but do you think I trust Lovie Smith? Are you serious? No way. Cal. I'll give away the 7.5. Give me Cal.
Cal Bears minus the 7.5, and we'll do picks on Monday. We'll have a bunch of picks we got to do on Monday to wrap up the bowl season. Our Friday football forecast brought to you every Friday afternoon by First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, recreational, contact them at fnbt.com. That's fnbt.com, or call them at 901-498-5763. Has it been everything you thought it would be in Dallas, Dave?
It will. It is. This is a different level. I mentioned, I think, to you yesterday, I don't know how the heck we could ever go back to the Birmingham Bowl or the Frisco Bowl after you've enjoyed the highest of quality of everything that they do, from drivers to Mercedes-Benz cars to they've made a tiger and a Nittany lion out of a Goodyear tire and out of Goodyear tires, and it's incredible. They give you that tiger when it's all over. I think I mentioned you in this hospitality room.
Yep.
They
the statistical boards.
They have these great graphics on that are on boards, on walls that are pictures of tiger stuff, and they basically give you that at the end of the stay. They pack it up and ship it at their cost to you and give that for you to set up wherever you would like to. So it's just a different quality of bowl that I've never seen anything like it. And honestly, Laird Veach, who's been to all the Power 5 bowls, the New Year's Day 6 bowls, he said when we earned the right to come here that it was the top bowl of all of them. And I see evidence every day of this. Honestly, I covered this in 1985 when Hoss Brock was here, and I think we mentioned this, and what a great job Hoss Brock did. They were not then at the level that they are now. They changed, they upped it a level, and it's just a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, I don't know how many Tiger fans are going to be there in the end. I think the school sold 9,000 tickets, but I think there was at least another 9,000 or so that were sold.
Yeah, secondary.
At secondary markets. I think there's going to be close to 20,000 Tiger fans. I know my son
crowd.
Jacob and Dan O'Brien, our producer and our engineer, he drove up today and he said once you got past Little Rock, 4 out of the 5 cars on the road that were going to Dallas were all with Memphis or Shelby County license plates. It's really something. Last night, I told you, and you knew that we did a Ryan Silverfield show from a sports bar not too far from this hotel by DFW, and it's called the Chill Sports Bar and Grill. It's in Grapevine. And we thought there might be 40 people who showed up. I mean that sincerely. 400 people showed up. 400 people showed up for the show. It was heartwarming, and I do say in the end for all of this, a season is a journey. It's not necessarily a destination. You definitely want to win. I'm not saying you don't, but this treat to be here at this bowl, to have won every pressure game past Temple. When you lost the game, you could have won, and then you had to keep winning. And you had the miracle against Tulsa, and then you had to beat SMU in front of 59,000 people, and both teams were ranked. And then you had to beat Cincinnati back to back. Not even counting having to go to Houston, a team that you've played great games with down the stretch. Just to get here is an amazing story. And I've got this for a little bit later, what I know, what I learned today. But you just want to talk about history. Penn State, this will be their 50th bowl game. Memphis is 13th.
I got the same note.
We really?
I got the very same note, Dave.
That's too funny.
Yeah, I do. We will get we will get to that in crunch time. So you're going to stay with me for crunch time? Good.
Yeah.
And Dave stays with us, and when we come back,
I do. One thing before you take this break, because you mentioned that Mississippi State game, and I almost changed my mind on this. You mentioned that
you're allowed to.
That Tommy
Stevens,
the former Penn State quarterback,
yes,
who, if you listen to the Penn State people like Jack Ham, they will tell you he's the better quarterback than the quarterback they have now. And they don't know what happened at Mississippi State, but they really were disappointed that he transferred. And, that kid lost the job to a young freshman, Schrader, that was supposed to be the starting quarterback in this game. And apparently some teammate hit him and put him out of the game. And that kid that hit him is still playing in their bowl game. It makes me kind of wonder about my Mississippi State picking that Music City Bowl, because I kind of think that Joe Moorhead might have lost his team a little bit.
Yeah, it felt like it down the stretch. And I said earlier when I was talking about this game, I know they won the Egg Bowl, but they were really wobbly down the stretch. When we come back, we wrap up this Friday, the last Friday of the year. We'll be here on Monday, but we wrap it up with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Dave in Dallas, I'm here in Memphis. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find Real Sports Talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. When we put them in nice packaging, we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. If you need a roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you, and we will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. We have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for many years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies' new look, the Redbirds, the 901 FC, and the Tigers football and basketball teams, it's going to be a fun year. Thank you to Coach Norvell, Coach Hardaway, and their staffs for your dedication to your student athletes, the University of Memphis, and to fans like me who have waited forever to have both the football and basketball teams ranked at the same time. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. It's crunch time. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Golly, I don't remember that one.
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
He's a professional. He's pretty classy for his age.
In the crunch time, that's the frustrating part.
Oh, no, not again.
Little Penny could make some appearances this year.
Okay, I'm not huge into stats.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
Immediately when the buzzer sounds, he lets out this shriek.
He threw those ears forward. He was in stroke mode.
It's obviously crunch time.
Boop, boop, boop. That's what you're getting.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Dave, I just learned that the last glimmer of hope for James Wiseman now over with. He is signed with an agent. Somebody let Dick Vitale know. Poor Dick Vitale out there floating that the last few days, I thought really looked foolish. James Wiseman will not return. There's no glimmer of hope left. He is signed with an agent. What have you learned today, Dave?
Well, that was what I didn't want to hear today, because that was tweeted out about an hour ago by Woj that he signed with Excel Sports Management. So you're right, he's not coming back. What I learned today was that if you go to the AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, you drive down into a tunnel that gets you into the underbelly of the stadium. Now, most places, that's where you stop your bus. You get out right there, you're like in a corner of the end zone. Not at Jerry's World. You can literally drive around 3/4 of the way where the Tiger locker room is. You know how long it took us to get there on a bus? 5 minutes. You can literally drive for almost 8 minutes around the stadium. I've never seen anything like where you are in a bus and you go in a stadium and you drive for 8 minutes. Incredible.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Just the expanse of it, the bigness of it, and the niceties of it. It is really... I mean, Dave, the first time I ever went in the Astrodome, when I was little, it was mind-blowing. But the first time into Jerry's World was bigger than that. Also learned today, and you mentioned the 50th bowl game ever for Penn State. This will be the 4th different Big Ten opponent for the Tigers in football. 0-4 all time. Losses to Michigan, Michigan State, and twice to Minnesota. Could have done without the Falcons already announcing – well, they've already announced Dan Quinn's back. That's fine. But we know on Monday we'll be talking about a lot of NFL firings on Monday because that's when the axe falls. Jason Garrett, Freddie Kitchens, Doug Marrone. Will Cincinnati do it after 1 year? And we know this. Mike McCarthy is going to get hired by someone.
Somewhere.
What is it you could have done with that, Dave?
Well, it's this Wiseman story. And the reason why it hurts so much is you know, earlier this week or on Sunday, the 6th new number 1 team, Gonzaga, voted by the Associated Press. The record for new number 1s in a single season is 7. The number last year was 3. Before the first of the year, we already have 6. What it tells you is there is not a great NCAA basketball team this year. Had James Wiseman stuck around, and I'm not saying this team in its present form is dead. Clearly, I think it's good enough to be a Sweet 16 team. Then you're looking at matchups and somebody getting hot,
sure.
And who knows. But if you had James Wiseman,
you'd been number 1.
This team was definitely a Final Four team and maybe a national championship.
And still can be, but I do think now Gonzaga will get it. They're in that number 1 spot, I think, because of that conference and the rest of their schedule. They stay there a while. Dave, we'll let you go if you need to slip away. I know you got a lot of duties. We'll be listening. I can't wait to see you Monday, and we can hear everything about it. Thank you, Dave. Have fun, man.
Thank you.
Dave Woloshin on the road with the Tigers. Looking forward to a lot of things this weekend. Tomorrow's great slate of college football games from 11 to 11, like we talked about. Boy, tomorrow, if you're a college football fan, you can really have the great day. It starts with the Tigers. Can the Tigers' O-line match up with that Penn State defensive front and put the pressure on the edge with that speed? I really believe the Tigers have more team speed at the skill positions than Penn State. Maybe not in the interior lines, but at the skill positions. Peach and Fiesta, the 2 semifinal games tomorrow for Jalen Hurts. You know, he's never lost to LSU. When he was at Alabama, he never lost to LSU, and he's going to have to put on some performance. He's going to have to get some help, too, from his Oklahoma defense. He doesn't play defense. You can't blame the defensive woes at OU on Jalen Hurts. How healthy is Justin Fields, and Clemson's Trevor Lawrence. Big in the big games. He could really reestablish himself as probably the number one quarterback in college football like he was going into the preseason with a big game tomorrow night against Ohio State. Joe Burrow, the number one quarterback this year, he'll have to have a good game for LSU against Oklahoma. Sunday's NFL playoffs.
Last time, I'm sorry, I just made a mistake in 2019, but you know what?
That's
I can
okay,
say at least
John.
I love you one more time in 2019.
That's okay, John. We're going to do it one more time on Monday in 2019. We got one more on Monday. NFL games on Sunday. All the playoff games will be set officially when we talk about it on Monday. For Dave in Dallas, for Drew in Dallas, and right here for Carl in Memphis, I'm Brett. Everybody have a safe, happy weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday, our last show of the year for 2019.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
For over 25 years, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 has been bringing you great local sports talk. With 13 hours of local talk daily, we continue to be Memphis's local sports leader. The day starts with Keith Parker and Elliot Wender on the press box from 6 to 7, followed by the Peter Edmiston Experience with C.J. Hurt from 7 to 10. Sports 56 middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy takes you through lunch from 10 until 1. And then, John Harden brings you Johnny Radio's Happy Hour from 1 to 3. Dave Woloshin and Brett Norris